Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Comcast Sportsnet brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, it's the opener of a 3-game season-ending series between the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown along with Alan Ashby. And the Astros trying to snap a 12-game losing streak, while the Yankees in that rare situation also having been eliminated, but with some emotion coming in from New York.
Well, a lot of emotion. You talk about the elimination for the Yankees, just the second time in 19 years now that they have failed to make the postseason. But that time in New York yesterday with Mariano Rivera going to the mound, his final pitches thrown with Yankees fans there, and then the departure with Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter coming out, teammates all the way back from minor league days coming out. Joe Girardi had a spark of imagination, insight there to send these guys out. And what a great moment it led to.
Oh, it certainly did. A very unusual time as Pettitte came out. And as he said in his press conference today, Ash, he said, I wanted to hug Mo, and he didn't want to let go of me. So it got kind of emotional there, and you can certainly understand that with these ties going way back decades between these three.
You know, and it was also really intriguing to hear Andy Pettitte talk about the fact that Joe Girardi said, look, here's what I'd like you guys to do, and Andy thought it was a bad idea, but everybody in the dugout said, no, you need to do this. And when it was all said and done, he felt it was just one of those special moments. Mariano Rivera, so beloved there in New York, and you can see the emotion coming out. He thought he was going to be composed, that he wouldn't shed any tears, but it didn't turn out that way.
And now they come to Houston for their final 3 games together as teammates, and they lead all active pitchers in these categories. Pettitte in starts and innings pitched, and wins and strikeouts. Mariano Rivera in games, saves, 82 wins, a 2.21 ERA, leading all active pitchers. So these are two of the great players in the history of baseball, and certainly the long and storied history of the New York Yankees. This is quite something, this duo coming into town.
Andy Pettitte, you factor in on top of those numbers, 19 wins in the postseason, absolutely unheard of. But Andy Pettitte is that type of pitcher. 37 of those 255 in terms of overall wins coming as a member of the Houston Astros. So he's got some kind of mixed thoughts and feelings, I would imagine, coming in here to Houston to finish things, and will pitch tomorrow. But Mariano Rivera has been the huge story and will likely be so even if he doesn't appear in one of these 3 games.
Quite a weekend coming up, and it all starts in just a few minutes. And coming up next on the pregame show, Julia's up to talk about the final start for one of the Astros' most pleasant surprises of the season.
Yankees closing out the season with a 3-game series here tonight. Brett Oberholzer will be on the mound for Houston. Bo Porter saying today that the lefty has been one of the bright spots for this club this season. And it all started one night. He was supposed to make a spot start and then return to the bullpen or AAA. He ended up throwing 7 scoreless innings in Baltimore, earning a spot in the starting rotation, and has put together some of the best pitching performances we've seen this year, including the club's only complete game. Well, he's coming off of an outing where he impressed the skipper again. That was in Cleveland, allowing 2 runs, none earned in 6 innings for a loss. And the defense behind him struggled a little bit, put their pitcher in several jams, but he got out of them, calming himself down, didn't let things get out of control. He also just allowed 4 hits and only 1 by a left-handed hitter. He's had a nice month of September, and more specifically when it comes to facing left-handed batters. Check out this graphic right here, really bringing that opponent's average down. You see from 362 to 172, and the slugging even more so, 617 to 207. One of the reasons why his pitching coaches and managers think he'll be a key piece in this organization is because of his ability to make these adjustments and pitch on a high level. He also said that one of his favorite moments this year, pitching against the Boston Red Sox, a big fan of the game and the storied franchise as well. He was really thrilled for the chance to get to pitch against the New York Yankees tonight, so he'll be excited. All right, stay with us. First pitch and lineups coming up in just a second. Jose Altuve looks to continue the month that he's had, hoping to help the Astros to a win here at home. Don't go anywhere.
Find our fares online only at Southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. We have a cloudy night going in downtown Houston, Texas for the final 3-game series of the season. The scouts are here. The fans have come out to watch the Astros and the Yankees. And for the Yankees, it's such an unusual final weekend of the season for only the second time in 19 years. As Ash mentioned, they are not headed to the postseason, and they still have had their drama during those home games. The finale for Mariano Rivera at home last night and Andy Pettitte. But now, finishing on the road, they are trying to stop a 4-game losing streak while the Astros try to halt their streak at 12 straight losses. The Yankees have gone 3-9 since they were only 1 game out of the second wild card spot behind Tampa Bay September 12th. For Joe Girardi, now in his 6th year as the Yankees skipper, there's perhaps uncertainty ahead as well, Ash, because his contract is coming to an end.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody stepping in and doing a nicer job with the New York Yankees right now. I think that's a tough place to have to deal, and yet it's a great place. Joe Girardi makes it work really well, as we saw with the way he handled things with Mariano Rivera and Andy Pettitte yesterday. He has a great flair, a great feel for what needs to be done.
3 times as a player and the championship as a manager in 2009 for Joe Girardi. Here's his lineup tonight: Curtis Granderson, Eduardo Nunez, Robinson Cano, Alfonso Soriano, Mark Reynolds, David Adams, Julio Almonte, Brendan Ryan, and J.R. Murphy.
On the mound for the Astros tonight, 24-year-old left-hander Brett Oberholzer, and he has been really impressive in his 10th start now for the ball club, 13th outing overall. Last time out, no earnings against him in 6 innings, that against Cleveland in Cleveland. And he just continues to go to the mound and give up very good effort time after time. Right-hand hitters, for whatever reason, having a terrible time, and I would imagine it's that great changeup. Defensively for Houston behind Oberholzer this evening. Doing the catching, it'll be Carlos Corporan around the infield right to left. Chris Carter, Jose Altuve, Jonathan Villar, and Matt Dominguez. In the outfield, the impressive Brandon Barnes in center, flanked by L.J. Hose in right and Trevor Crowe in left.
Oberholzer is trying to halt a 3-game losing streak, but in 2 of those, he lost 2-1 with quality work, including last time out a week ago at Cleveland, losing 2-1, giving up 2 unearned runs in a game shortened by rain to 6 innings.
And again, I guess my feelings about Oberholzer this year are for a guy that doesn't have special, overpowering type stuff. His stuff actually is pretty special. Spots it well, changes speeds, pitches backwards in certain counts, and never seems to be befuddled by any kind of a big scenario.
So now as he comes into his first career start against the Yankees, Bo Porter, as he was telling the media tonight before the game, really anxious to put the stops on this losing streak, to have a good weekend, coming off an 0-7 road trip for the final 3 at home. Curtis Granderson leads it off. He's had an injury-riddled season, as have many of his Yankee teammates. And there's strike 1 for Oberholzer to a .236 hitting Granderson. Granderson's gone deep 7 times. He's driven in 14 runs. 32 years old, from Blue Island, Illinois.
I would say the absence of this guy from the Yankee lineup this year has been one of the biggest negatives for their club.
Well, it certainly has. There's out number 1. Granderson hit 43 bombs last year, drove in 106. The year before he hit 41, drove in 119. That's a big bat to lose, Alan.
Plays defense well in center field on top of that, but yeah, he was, over the last couple of years, the home run guy.
Eduardo Nunez has filled in quite a bit on the left side of the infield. .260 is his average. He has 3 homers, 26 runs batted in, playing third as he is tonight and shortstop for the Yankees. Nunez goes for the first one, puts it in the air. First baseman Chris Carter is waiting for it. 3 pitches, 2 outs for Oberholzer. And Robinson Cano will follow.
Well, you've got 2 ball clubs that, as you've talked about, Brownie, are out of any contention for postseason play, and a lot of times the hitters will break it down and start swinging earlier in counts, and I think we may see some of that.
Well, Cano also has an uncertain future. He has very fine numbers for 2013. .313 average, 27 homers, 106 runs batted in. He's in the top 6 in total bases. And Cano is headed for free agency. He'll turn 31 in a couple of weeks or so. There's strike 1 as he looks at the Oberholzer pitch. And there is a lot of speculation now. There's one story circulating that his new agent, Jay-Z, and that agency is asking for a 10-year, $305 million deal. And the Yankees apparently, according to reports, opened with a David Wright comparable offer, which would be 8 years, $135 million or so. 0-2. Well, if those two are accurate, there's a $165 million gulf between the two.
Should be able to patch that up over lunch.
And with all the losses in the Yankee lineup, Cano at times has been exposed, as some who follow the Yankees feel, without a whole lot going on around him in the lineup. He chases that breaking pitch and he strikes out. A very fine first for Oberholzer. And the Astros come up in just a moment against Adam Warren. Starting lineup for Bo Porter tonight. Jonathan Villar leads off at shortstop. It's Jose Altuve at second base. Matt Dominguez batting third, playing third. Mark Krause is the DH and cleanup man, with Chris Carter at first base, Trevor Crowe in left field, L.J. Hose in right field, Carlos Corper in the catcher, Brandon Barnes in center field.
26-year-old right-hander Adam Warren goes to the mound. Made his debut with the Yankees a year ago, pitched in just one game in relief. This year, 33 games overall, one as a starter. So this his second start now on the season. And the numbers saying he's pitched pretty well. 3.63 that ERA, a guy who could be quite viable for this rotation for the Yankees come next year. Defensively, behind Warren, behind the plate, J.R. Murphy. From the infield, Mark Reynolds at first. Around at second, David Adams, Brendan Ryan at short, and Eduardo Nunez at third. In the outfield, Curtis Granderson in center, Zoilo Almonte in right, and Alfonso Soriano in left.
Jonathan Villar gets it started for Houston. And looks at that one for strike one. 249 for Villar. His average has been dropping. He's 2 for his last 33. Has 1 homer, 8 runs batted in. Warren, 26 years old, from Birmingham, Alabama. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. He faced the Astros at Yankee Stadium in relief back on April 29th. Gave up 2 earned runs in 1 2/3 innings in that game. There's a swing by Villar, and that makes it 1-2. He pitched at North Carolina. And there are several fine major league players currently active from the University of North Carolina. He went 32-4 for the Tar Heels. 4th round pick in 09. Had just 1 start for the Yankees last year. That's in for a strike, and Villar is caught looking.
Jonathan Villar has been getting caught looking a number of times here in games recent, and in this case, that running fastball that starts inside and darts back to the dish.
Jose Altuve has been one of the hot September hitters in the major leagues, with a 379 September batting average, up to 285 for the season. He has 5 homers. He's driven in 52. Currently on a 4-game hitting streak. And he shoots a liner out into center field, and there's a running grab by Granderson. And he closed on that one nicely for the backhanded play for out number 2.
Well, like we say about Granderson, he's a dangerous hitter. He's also a fine center fielder for the Yankees, so his absence was extremely costly for the Yanks.
Thunderclouds outside, it appears. Matt Dominguez on a 4-game hitting streak at 245, has 21 homers. He's driven in 76. Granderson moving over toward right center, and it's ball 1 in the dirt. Dominguez 2 for 12 against Yankee pitching in the series at Yankee Stadium in late April. As you mentioned, Ash, Adam Warren could be a fixture in that rotation for the 2014 Yankees. Not sure about that, but there are going to be vacancies in that rotation.
It's going to be a very different looking Yankees club next year. They can't in New York afford to just lay back and lose games. Doesn't work that way in the Big Apple. So you know they're going to make a number of changes. Will that guy be the skipper?
The shortstop fields it to his left. Brendan Ryan is a very good defensive player, and both pitchers have 1, 2, 3 first innings. You enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. So both pitchers enjoying a 1-2-3 first, and now the Yankees, who have had their offensive problems, come around in the second inning with Soriano, Reynolds, and Adams 2 up. Yankees 10-14 in the month of September with a .223 team batting average and a 5.35 ERA, so that'll get you to 10-14 usually, and that has for them. And they swept the only series they've had here at Minute Maid Park. That was back in 08. Swept the 3 games here at Minute Maid and outscored the Astros 23-5 in those 3. Now Alfonso Soriano, who has delivered offense since the trade, bringing him from the Cubs to the Yankees. .253, 34 homers, and 101 runs batted in for Soriano. And things certainly picked up for them, Ash, when they made that acquisition, and then they got some of their injured players back in the lineup. Alex Rodriguez, for a time, came back and helped them offensively. He's injured again now.
This is really the guy, as you say, that made the difference. There's that terrific changeup that Oberholzer possesses. 17 home runs hit in a brief period of time, 56 games here by Soriano. He's been amazing.
Very fine acquisition for the Yankees. Boy, did they need the power.
How about this guy with 34 bombs on his year at this stage of his career?
Yeah. Very good point. Soriano in his career has hit .252 against Houston with 26 homers, 66 runs batted in. He looks at that upstairs, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Very aggressive, free swinger, but a guy who can do a lot of damage.
Well, again, driving in 50 runs in 56 games, also extremely impressive. He's taking a couple of close pitches here and gets away with them.
3-2 to the 37-year-old veteran who signed as a free agent with the Yankees in '98. They traded him to Texas in '04. Robinson Cano took over for him at second base.
Watch out for the changeup on this 3-2.
He gets a strikeout.
And the changeup is the culprit. And I'll bet you Soriano's thinking right now, wow, that was impressive, young man.
And that's been the work of Oberholzer.
You get a 3-2 count, major league hitters are going to narrow it down to likely fastball, maybe a slider as an outside possibility, but that changeup is a turnaround pitch.
Another of those acquired by the Yankees in a deal for offense. Mark Reynolds is the batter. He fouls it back for strike one. Reynolds with 20 homers this year has driven in 65. The 6th straight year he's reached the 20 home run plateau. And Reynolds with Baltimore last year hit 23 homers, drove in 69 runs after coming up with the Arizona Diamondbacks. His first year with them was '07. He takes a look at it, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count for Brett Oberholzer. It's got to be a big moment for him to face this storied franchise in his 10th major league start. Liner headed foul. 1-2. Yankees have an overall record in head-to-head play against the Astros of 10-2. One of the 2 Houston wins that combined 6-pitcher no-hitter at Yankee Stadium. Reynolds started the year with Cleveland, hit .215 there. And that's in the air to left center field, chasing Brandon Barnes way back, right in front of the Yankee bullpen. 2 outs.
This month of September has been filled with teams vying to get into the postseason. Brett Oberholzer has not shied away from these clubs at all. In fact, he's pitched extremely well. The fastball, that batting average against, down to 188 here in September. The changeup at 138. And I think that's fairly predictable when you watch the way he can handle that pitch. The slugging way down. Brett Oberholzer has stood up in a big way here in the month.
Now it's David Adams batting. He smacks one, and Brandon Barnes is settling in underneath it. That's 6 straight Yankees retired by Oberholzer in a scoreless game in the second.
Veterans Day salute on Monday, November 11th, presented by Occidental Petroleum, featuring the screening of the award-winning documentary Honor Flight: One Last Mission. For more information, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com for your tickets.
We got ours. That's going to be a special day and probably a full house that day. But the good thing is, as Ash mentioned, the tickets are free. And a special time to salute our veterans, especially the World War II veterans, the greatest generation. Bottom of the second inning coming here, and it's Mark Krause. 217 is Krause's average. He's gone deep 4 times. He's driven in 13. Andy Pettitte pitches tomorrow night for the Yankees. He spoke with the media today. He's going to be very happy that his family and friends here can come see him. Ball 1 to Krause. There's Carter on deck. Krause has hit 286 in his last 19 games, and he's been getting a fair amount of playing time. Shortstop Ryan is shading up the middle on Krause, who looks at ball 2, and it's 2-0. There's the way the Yankees have their infielders arranged.
Wonder how much of those 3 years for Andy Pettitte in the middle of his career impacted him, how it stands up with the great years he's had in New York.
The infield shifts around more on the pull side. It's a strike, 2-1. Well, he talked about it. He had a few questions about his time in Houston today, and he said it was really a special time for him to come back here to home and to be a part of a team that was the first Astros World Series team. It's 3-1. About the 5th inning, Andy will be recognized, and I believe he'll come out of the dugout, maybe take off his hat for the fans. Just a very brief recognition that he's going to be retiring. Of course, he's pitching tomorrow night, so it won't be done then. But he was asked about what his goals were for tomorrow night. He said, "Hey, it's my last start. It's really important. I want to do well."
See him kind of looking around the stadium, and I wonder how much the memories from those great playoff games and everything that led to them back in the 2003, 4, 5 era might mean to him.
He remembers them vividly. He really does. And there's ball 4 and a leadoff walk. Krause is known for that throughout the minor leagues. He hasn't done it as often here at the major league level. That's his 9th walk. But this time he leads off an inning by drawing that base on ball.
You know, some of those playoff series that we talk about that Andy was involved in with the Astros, among the best series I think I've ever watched in terms of postseason play.
They were. And he was well aware of the fact that the Astros had not won a playoff series before he arrived here. Chris Carter, 226, 29 homers, 81 runs batted in. And a breaking pitch gets strike 1 on Carter. Bull Porter was asked about the various things that he had learned about his team this year. And he said, well, quite a bit. You know, he said, really at spring training, Jose Altuve was the one guy in my lineup who was in ink to play every game. And the other guys, and he mentioned Chris Carter, have come to the front. Fly ball to center field. Anderson backing on it. And that's out number 1. Trevor Crowe will be next.
Well, there have obviously been some bright spots to go along with things this year. Jason Castro had a terrific season, and it's been disappointing that he's been unable to play here in the last month or so. But Matt Dominguez is a guy that really stands out for me of the position players.
Bo mentioned both of them. He mentioned Jonathan VR. So it sounds as if he is set on all those players at their positions for next year. 231 for Crowe. There's a strike. I mentioned tonight's starting pitcher, Oberholzer, as well. 13 runs batted in for Trevor Crowe.
You know, when you look at the overall record, Brownie, it might be difficult for people to forecast that the Astros have likely come up with 3 guys in the rotation to start next year, and maybe more.
Yeah.
But when you talk about Oberholzer and Jared Cozart and the way Brad Peacock is throwing the baseball, those guys have stood out.
You mentioned all 3 of them, and he did not mention Jordan Lyles because Jordan had been here and had been in the rotation. He was talking about things that he's learned about this year's team and about these players. Foul ball, 0-2. There are still, of course, questions remaining, and Jeff Luhnow has not made it a secret that his plans are to explore the free agent market over the winter. Take a look at some back of the bullpen candidates and an outfield. A good hitter for the outfield. I don't know which spot, but somewhere in the outfield. Move over to first. House dives back on the throw by Adam Warren.
Well, you wonder what some recent success for Krause has done to help him in terms of next year. How about L.J. Hose? He's been quite consistent and solid since coming over from the Orioles. Trevor Crowe has had his times where he's played quite well. Of course, then there's Brandon Barnes.
Yeah. Crowe strikes out. That's strikeout number 2 for Warren.
And I think we all feel that Brandon Barnes has stood out as the defensive player in the outfield this year.
No doubt. L.J. Hose at 277 with a homer and 10 runs batted in has, as Ash mentioned, made quite a bit of good use of his playing time. 45 games as an Astro, compiling those numbers. And he has shown his ability to hit the ball hard to right field. And that can be very beneficial in a situation, and not so much this one with 2 outs in the inning, but with 1 out, getting a runner from first to third.
Although in this scenario, when you have a runner at first with the first baseman holding, big hole on the right side, and LJ's taken advantage of that numerous times.
That's a good point, Ash. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carlos Corcoran's on deck.
LJ does it naturally. It's not one of those forced swings the other way. It just happens. And you feel silly bringing up a name like this, but Roberto Clemente had that type of swing where the ball just tended to go that way. It's what Hose does.
Swings at that pitch, and it's 1-2. The Yankees will have vacancies in their rotation, so Adam Warren trying to do his best to make an early bid for the 2014 ball club, which will of course have CC Sabathia at the head of that rotation. But with Andy Pettitte retiring, that opens up 1 spot, and a couple of other pitchers are headed for free agency. Hiroki Kuroda and Phil Hughes. And from what we're hearing, the Yankees don't have a whole lot coming up from the farm system who can step right in and fill the shoes if these guys who are free agents move on.
Just saw Hiroki Kuroda, and a year ago he was as good as anybody in that starting rotation for the Yankees. This year, good the first half, second half not so good.
There's a liner to right field. That's in for a hit. Krause heads for third base, and the throw goes in to second, and it's a 2-out 2-strike single by L.J. Hose, bringing up Carlos Corcoran.
Watch this swing of L.J. Hose, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. That front foot kind of steps a bit toward third. The body falls that direction a bit, and yet the baseball shoots to right field. It's rare, but it's extremely good when you can do that naturally.
Very nice result for L.J. Hose, getting the first hit of the ball game. Carlos Corcoran hit a home run off Adam Warren at Yankee Stadium on April 29th. He did 7 this year. He's driven in 20 with a .231 average for Cork. Cork had a big series against the Yankees. He went 4 for 5 with a homer and drove in 4. Had some really big games offensively early in the season. That's strike 1. This is his 11th start since he came back from that concussion. On the 9th of September, having been on the disabled list. 4 of his last 5 homers have either given the Astros the lead or tied the game. That goes over to first on LJ Hose. This Yankee club 36-42 away from Yankee Stadium. In the last 23 road games, Joe Girardi's club has won 8 and lost 15. In the air, and Anderson moves for it over into left center field. And it's caught by the left fielder, Soriano. No runs, a hit, 2 men stranded. It's 0-0.
Our Geico quote of the day, it's from Bo Porter, the skipper, saying, as an organization, we have a pretty good idea of the guys we believe are going to be able to help us. We also know what it is we need to go get. Several times this week, Porter has answered questions on what is that you need to get. And each time he tells us that all the questions that we came into the season having, we have an answer for him. He's confident saying that. As for what they need to get, bullpen is something that came up. Brownie mentioning that earlier. Outfield, another position. First base was also mentioned. Brownie, we've seen a lot of different players go through all 3 of those positions.
Oh, it's been a dizzying swarm of players in and out. And Bo has seen enough to provide him with some of those answers you talked about. Julia, thanks for that. Zoilo Almonte is the leadoff man here, hitting .250. He made his major league debut in mid-June for the Yankees. It's an unusual name, Zoilo. Here's ball 1.
Well, I knew one Zoilo. I didn't know him personally, knew of him in Major League Baseball. He happened to be an MVP.
For Sias, shortstop of the Twins. Terrific player. 2 balls, no strikes.
An MVP that was a shortstop, and I believe hit about 270 something his MVP season.
Interesting. Well, the fielding percentage has to be really high with that kind of a batting average to win an MVP. And a range factor and all those other defensive metrics.
Of course, they were touting those metrics highly back in those days.
Do you think they talked about ultimate zone rating?
Yeah, I think shortly after his MVP season, they ceased for a while, but they came back.
Almonte's from the Dominican. He looks at ball 3, and it's 3-1. Oberholzer with just 12 walks in 68 in the 3rd innings this year. Almonte was on the DL. He came off that list on the 9th of September. He had a sprained left ankle, missed 45 games. And he shoots one foul. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The Cleveland Indians have really beaten a nice path out to a 5-0 lead at Minnesota. 5 runs on 6 hits. They're only in the top of the 2nd inning right now. Cleveland looking very strong for a postseason wild card berth. But Tampa Bay is 1 game better with the lead wild card spot. VR to his right. And that's out number 1.
Nice footwork on this play by VR. And the footwork at times has been in question. Sometimes taking a little bit too much time. Make it look like this, and it makes it look routine, and I think that's what you want. You don't want to look spectacular all the time, just nice and routine.
7 straight retired by Oberholzer and friends. Brendan Ryan comes up. Traded by the Seattle Mariners to the Yankees. He played in 87 games with Seattle. Lost his job there. 199, 4 homers, 22 runs batted in. But the Mariners found a young shortstop they liked, and Ryan, more of a mature type veteran player who with the bat has struggled throughout his career after being a St. Louis Cardinal, moving along to Seattle. So now trying to do something to impress the Yankee brass. And shortstop really becomes a question mark with Derek Jeter's repeated injuries now for next year. He will be back, but will he be healthy? That's one big question.
Yeah, I don't think the Yankees can feel assured of that at all.
It's out toward the left field wall. Trevor Crowe backing on it. Now he backs away from that wall, takes a look at it, and it's foul. Flirting with the left field foul pole. Brendan Ryan comes back with a 1-2 count.
Gets enough to get it out of here, front row style, but hooks it a bit too much.
Scattered the chickens.
It's always been one of the things you have to watch for.
Chickens on the foul pole. Rolled out to shortstop. VR zips it over to Carter. 2 down. And Oberholzer's in a nice rhythm.
No matter what's happening in the sports world, Kevin Eschenfelder has it covered with a fresh take and special guests you won't get anywhere else. Sports Talk Live weekdays at 5 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet.
J.R. Murphy, who was thrown out 2 of 4 runners attempting to steal, now gives it a shot at home plate with a 125 batting average for J.R. It's ball 1 to Murphy. Murphy has had just 16 at bats with 2 hits. He lines one, and now he gets the first Yankee hit off the left field wall and into second base with a 2-out double for Murphy. Murphy has his first major league double now.
Kind of a classic case of Oberholzer there throwing a close pitch on the first one. It was called a ball where it might many times be called a strike, and so what do you do when that happens, especially with a 9-hitter? You just go ahead and groove the fastball, and that fastball gets cranked.
He's at second, and Curtis Granderson comes around for the second time. First double of Murphy's career. Granderson has hit 32 homers off lefties since the start of 2011. And that ties him for the major league lead in that period of time with Jay Bruce of the Reds and Mark Trumbo of the Angels. But considering that he and Jay Bruce are left-handed batters, that speaks pretty loudly for them. And there's strike 1 to Granderson. Should be a special weekend with events in all 3 of these games. Mariano Rivera will be honored before the game on Sunday. 1 ball, 1 strike to Granderson. Anderson had that broken bone in his forearm from spring training, and then he came back and broke a bone in his left hand 8 games after he returned from the right forearm injury.
Guy who had a combined 84 home runs over the last 2 years for the Yankees.
He checked his swing on the appeal to Gary Cederstrom. It's a 2-1 count. Granderson, who reached All-Star status last year with the Yankees with that fabulous year, and the year before. He's a 3-time All-Star. He really started blossoming in 07 with Detroit, hitting .302, 23 homers. He's been consistently at 20 home runs or above since then. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That was the year when he hit 23 triples rather to lead the major leagues. That's a phenomenal figure.
Boy, it is.
38 doubles, 23 triples, and 23 homers.
And he's had some 20 steal seasons as well. Scored 136 runs in 2011 with the Yankees. And he taps that one foul, but as is the case with some of his teammates, his high salary is going to prevent the Yankees from re-signing him unless they tender an offer, and that's the way it is now with free agency. The Yankees can tender him an offer, and he could accept it and take a 1-year deal.
With what's gone on with the Angels and the big contracts they put out with Pujols and Josh Hamilton, I don't see how another team is going to go out there and offer one of these 10-year deals at mega hundreds of millions.
It would be pretty shocking, wouldn't it?
You know, as good as Robinson Cano has been for the Yankees, he's a terrific player. But at soon to be 31 years of age and having one of those deals just kind of smells of the other deals that have been done in Anaheim, and I don't think anybody feels those are good deals.
The age is the big barrier, right?
Certainly is. And then you look at work ethic of a player and everything that goes in, because I don't think you can question the abilities offensively or defensively of a guy like Robinson Cano. But it's got to be really a gut-wrenching experience if you're the Yankees trying to figure out, do we do this or not?
Especially because they want to get to a payroll below $189 million for next year if they can, so they don't have to pay the luxury tax. In tight for a ball, and it's 3-2 now. And the feeling is if they do that for 1 year, if they go below that figure for 1 year, then they'll ramp it back up again.
Well, the Red Sox are a club that has shown that you can go from one miserable year to a great one.
They sure have.
That gets a shot for the World Series.
They regrouped very quickly. And they made that astonishing deal with the Dodgers, and that really allowed them to regroup.
Well, and that was the deal that left me feeling like there's no way they can regroup this quickly.
Right.
Because they got rid of some genuine top of the shelf type talent. You talk about just the first baseman alone, seeing Adrian Gonzalez go to the Dodgers. I thought that was too much for the Red Sox to overcome.
That's been surprising. Fly ball to center. Brandon Barnes waits for it. And it's no runs a hit and a man stranded. It's no score in Houston.
Game live enhances your Astros experience via computer, smartphone, or tablet. Get in-depth stats and join the social buzz. In-game live only on csnhouston.com. Brownie and Ash, you guys were not invited to Ladies Night by State Farm. This was held tonight, a very fun event, and it all started early. There was a Q&A with an Astros baseball panel. Radio announcers Robert Ford, Steve Sparks were there. I saw them. Ladies loved the food, and the photo booth I hear was pretty fun. JD Martinez, Jared Kozar even showing up for their hair fix. There was massages. I wish I had more time to spend at this thing, but it seems like everyone had a really good time, guys.
Did you make sure we were not invited to that, Julia?
You were not invited. Ladies only.
Yeah, except for those guys.
Well,
some guys have all the luck, you know. Looked like a good group. How long did you stay? 5-10 minutes?
I got to talk to some of the ladies and just walk around. They had music, too. It was a good time.
Yeah, we haven't had one of those for a while. Good idea. Brandon Barnes leads it off. No score, bottom of the third inning. 241 for Brandon. 8 homers, 41 runs batted in. He said he's ready for the season to continue. There's ball one on the slider away to Brandon. High energy guy. You might think that the way he has spread his body over outfield across America, he'd be ready to go home. He said, no, I'm going to keep going. That's a swing, and it's called on the appeal to Vic Carapazza. 1-1.
You know what I say to that?
What?
Winter ball.
Oh.
162 is it's a pretty challenging marathon of a schedule.
Boy, it is, isn't it?
Obviously, he's in great shape.
It's 1-2. And just looking at a team like the Yankees, Ash, and how they had put their roster together under GM Brian Cashman, fine general manager for the long haul. It just doesn't always work out. They have been hit hard by injuries, and that does happen from time to time to various teams. Slow bouncer out to second. Here's Adams, unable to play it, and on through into center field. Barnes takes a look at it, but then Granderson gets there. Adams was rushing in. He was off balance, and it's a hit for Barnes.
Nice way to start a night. You get that kind of cheapy, the infield chopper, and you beat it out, and suddenly you feel good about things. Get to swing in the bat well. We'll see if that works out for Brandon. One more stretch, I think, was needed in the pregame drills at second base.
He took a look at that ball out in shallow center field, but Granderson was headed quickly toward it. So he holds it first, and it's Jonathan VR batting. VR struck out looking. Good situation for Jonathan to try to get on track here. Barnes has 11 steals. He's been caught 11 times. VR tried to bunt it and missed for strike one. Jose Altuve on deck.
What had seemed like a natural aspect of the game of Jonathan VR, his first month with the club, that bunting ability. Now it looks like maybe he's focusing maybe a bit too much on trying to get out of the box early.
He certainly runs up and tries to bunt that ball very early so he can get a head start to first base.
He had the experience the other day where he dropped the bat before making or even attempting to make contact. But you can see he's coming forward. He's within the box this time. We've seen him a couple of times where he was not within the box.
He's thinking outside the box, Ash.
You got to do that occasionally if you want to be successful, and Jonathan does it well. He's loaded with tools.
1 ball, 1 strike. We've seen him on occasion slap that ball hard to the left side of the infield. He has a sizable hole there now between Nunez and Ryan. Big swing there, and it's a 1 ball, 2 strike count. VR has struck out 68 times this season in 198 at bats. On base average was really respectable for a time. Now it's dipped down to 327. Toronto is beating Tampa Bay 6-2 in the bottom of the 7th in Toronto. VR moves back, and it's a 2 ball, 2 strike count. How about Detroit? Detroit is playing in Miami this weekend, and Jim Leyland is not happy about his pitchers having to bat in a National League park while he's getting them ready for postseason.
I think he's got a valid argument there.
Do you really?
I actually do.
Backhanded, and there's a throw to second, and Adams with the turn. Ball not caught at first base. Ryan got it quickly to Adams. The ball was not caught by Reynolds at first base, so it's out number 1 as Barnes is retired and VR is aboard.
I would assume you are not in agreement with that.
My description of that would be wah.
Yeah, well, and I imagine you might get more people saying that than otherwise. I just feel like, as you see VR beat it, that's good hustle, that it's a challenge that Leyland finds as the only manager of 30 Major League Ball clubs right now, and he probably feels because of that it's unjust.
Well,
but he's got a great starting pitching staff, and what if he loses one of those guys?
True. Reason for concern if a Max Scherzer has a broken finger batting or something along those lines, or a Verlander or a Sanchez. Yeah, it could be devastating to that Tiger club.
That said, the other teams did it apparently earlier in the season, but he doesn't like the timing of the whole issue.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Jose Altuve line to center field. He takes a strike. Altuve with 39 hits in September, 1 fewer than Hunter Pence in May of 2011 with 40. That's the last time an Astro had that many hits in a month. Closing with a rush. VR was just kind of adjusting his sliding gloves when the throw came over. It's like he was reaching and about to put that glove on when the throw came over from Adam Warren.
What did guys do before they had these sliding gloves?
It's something that might have been done before that throw. Fly ball goes to right field. Almonte waiting for it. 2 outs. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good time to get picked off.
How did Lou Brock and Ricky Henderson ever do it? I don't know. Ricky may have worn some kind of pads. I'm not sure.
When did the batting gloves come into popularity? Do you remember?
I want to say early probably 1970. Wow, my head. Let's get this thing geared right.
Yeah.
The 70s. Does that sound right for you?
It does, because
early 70s?
It really does. I remember Hawk Harrelson being involved maybe in that. Dominguez and takes that pitch after grounding out to shortstop for ball one. I might be wrong on this, but I think Hawk was one of the first guys to use the golf type gloves when hitting. Of course, he's been a long time excellent golfer.
Well, before they had the hitting gloves, what did the hitters do? They have to have a Velcro strap around their wrist to readjust.
Runner going, and it's fouled away, I guess. 1 ball, 1 strike. The odd thing is now, with all the batting gloves, it seems like way more bats go flying into the stands than they ever did before they used gloves.
You get gloves and pine tar and rosin, and then you get the Manny Mota stick and the bats go flying.
Mark Krause is on deck. Runner going again. This is a fly ball to right field. And Almonte makes the catch. No runs, a hit him. Man stranded, and after 3, there's no score.
At Bat is celebrating 5 years as your #1 mobile app for live baseball. Available for most mobile devices, At Bat delivers Astros baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Astros.com for details. Guys.
Thanks, Julia. 0-0. We move to inning number 4. Eduardo Nunez leads it off. He popped up first, his first time up. Oberholzer delivers their strike one. Some claim, Ash, that the first player to wear a batting glove was Bobby Thompson of the Giants, who wore golf gloves during spring training in 1949. Others say it was Ted Williams during '63. Line to VR. So we're not sure.
Well, let's check the tape on the Giants win the pennant thing.
Okay.
Because we'd know about Bobby Thompson there.
Yeah, good point.
I think those were gloves of a different nature, if that's true.
All right.
Because I don't think Nike had their gloves out yet.
Okay, here's one. The first person to wear a batting glove in a game was Ken Hawk Harrelson. Some sources say Harrelson first wore golf gloves while playing for the Kansas City A's in 1964.
64? Wow.
You'll love the explanation as Robinson Cano bats. He struck out earlier. Isn't the internet great? Thank you, Al Gore. The story is that Harrelson was with the Red Sox in '68, and he was not expecting to play in a night game. He spent the afternoon playing golf. He arrived with blistered hands after playing 27 holes. He was surprised to find himself in the lineup and resorted to wearing golf gloves to protect his sore hands. It sounds about right.
Next time we see Hawk, we'll have to ask that question.
Yes, we will.
How true is this one?
Oh, boy, that's a beauty.
Well, like they say, you can't put it on the internet if it's not true.
Cano looks at ball 3, and it's 3 balls, no strikes.
I actually remember playing my early days in the American League. We were out in Southern California. I went out to the beach and got the bottoms of my feet kind of burned, not blistered, but burned. And I got to the ballpark, and I was just hurting in my shoes, and I was scared to death. I wasn't going to let the skip, Frank Robinson, know about the situation. So I handled it with a plum.
Yeah?
And
you put a plum on your feet?
Probably would have been better.
That would be cooling. What were you doing? Handstands on the beach? How'd you get the bottom of your feet burned? That's a hit to the right side. Passed out Tuve right through the shift. Cano comes up with a single.
You see, the concept of hot sand factored into the whole thing.
Okay.
Well, whether you're from Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, or New Mexico, or those beaches in Southern California, CSN Houston covers the entire 5-state region minus the beaches. And we want your story ideas. Email us your ideas at regionalroundup@comcastsportsnet.com.
We'll be hearing from somebody on an iPad on the beach in
Galveston.
Soriano struck out earlier on a 3-2 changeup. He takes strike one there. And Soriano still has another year to go on his contract, although the Cubs are paying for most of the value of it. Alfonso had some very nice years in Chicago. Chicago signing him to an 8-year deal prior to the 08 season. But he caught a lot of flack there, too. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Corcoran moving quickly to his left to catch that one.
Well, if you sign one of those huge contracts, you're probably not going to fly away from all criticism.
Good point. You're opening yourself up to criticism for any little thing you do if you sign a 10-year deal for $305 million, right?
Well, until I get that opportunity, I can't answer definitively.
Okay. We'll ask Jeff Blum then. He's here tonight. 2 balls and a strike. Good to see Blummer in town. He was on Astros pregame live, and Marius Payton.
He was all decked out.
Yeah, Eric Young. They were all out here. They'll be out here all weekend doing their shows on the field. Good to have them in the park. There's a buzz here this weekend. And a nice sizable crowd here tonight as the count goes to 3-1. And Soriano. Crowd should be good for all 3 of these.
Got some upper tank participants down the lines.
Yes, we do. Well, they're waiting to see if they'll catch a glimpse of Mariano Rivera, among other things. This is the 4th 3-ball count. And the throw goes over to first. We're not sure about how Mariano will be used this weekend, unless you've seen a recent story. Maybe Joe Girardi said something. Okay.
No, the only thing that I've seen is probably what everybody's seen. And Joe Girardi has talked about how he would like to get Rivera a chance to play in center field. Apparently he can really go get him and yet at the same time maybe pitch an inning.
That would be unique. Soriano waves at it. It's 3-2. And Girardi had even mentioned a scenario of bringing in Mariano Rivera in the 8th inning to play center field and then having him pitch the 9th.
Yeah, I was thinking the sequence might go the other way, but you're exactly right. I thought, okay, let's get loose in the bullpen, bring it in, pitch an inning, and then go show our wares in center. But apparently he can get loose while playing center. Boy, that's a close pitch.
Yep. We have some Hawk Harrelson footage. And there's Hawk the golfer. He is quite a golfer.
And see, there's the young Hawk right there. He was playing that day. I think he was in the lineup hitting 4th.
Now this version of Hawk looks very stylish, right? With a sweater.
I'm guessing that might have been a Mother's Day right there.
Probably was. Good guy. Mark Reynolds hit the warning track fly ball to center back in the 2nd inning. Now comes up with 2 men on and 1 out. Oberholzer has given up a single to Cano and a walk to Soriano, falling behind on both batters. Of his 50 pitches, 31 have been strikes. And that's ball 1. And he has consistently been ahead of hitters. This is his 10th major league start.
Made a great pitch right there on Soriano, but second at bat for Soriano on the evening where that inside corner has been tough to come by.
Now back 1-1. Public address announcer Bob Ford was honored before the game tonight for 20 years of service. Astros president of business operations Reed Ryan presented him with a nice microphone. Let's see, he didn't put that microphone up there on the counter. That's good. It was a crystal microphone.
Very deserving too.
Yes. He does a tremendous job. He made reference to Bob Shepard. Line drive to left field, in for a hit. Crow charging. Here's the go-ahead, and the runner coming to the plate. The throw is cut off and relayed, and he gets by the catcher Corcoran, and now the runners move up to 2nd and 3rd as it's 1-0 Yankees. So Reynolds gets an RBI single, scoring Cano. And Soriano moves into 3rd while Reynolds takes 2nd base as the throw gets by Corcoran.
These cutoff scenarios have been raggedy for the Astros all season long. And you watch this one as Reynolds comes up with a clean base hit. Throw comes in. And Dominguez makes a nice play adjusting, but Corcoran was out of position as well. And what you have to have is that communication where the catcher's saying relay, which means cut it and bring it home, and you hold your ground as a catcher. But the two go out of position right there, and it turns into another costly error.
And now it's Adams batting with runners at second and third and one out. Middle infielders stay back. And that is strike one. The play was ruled an RBI single by Reynolds, and then an error on Dominguez for that throw that got by Corcoran. The error allowing Soriano and Reynolds to advance. And you can see that Corcoran was going to the foul side of the baseline, while the on-deck hitter Adams was signaling to Cano that he should slide to the inside. So now 1-1, and now the key becomes to avoid the big inning, and that has been a real problem for the Astros this year, allowing an inning like this to blow up on them. Up the right field line, it's slicing and going toward the corner and staying fair. That'll score two. Here's the throw from Hose, cut off. Two-run double by Adams. 13 runs batted in for Adams now, scoring Soriano and Reynolds to make it 3-0 Yankees.
We get a peek at the swing of Adams. It was a real nice job, and almost hits this ball out of here as it holds its line. Really didn't slice a whole lot, almost got out. Brett Oberholzer, in my opinion, has kind of tried to make some quality pitches and hasn't gotten a whole lot for it. And then when you leave one up and it gets drilled, it costs you.
Now 3 runs on 4 hits for the Yankees. Oberholzer facing Almonte. Almonte grounded out to shortstop in the third. We're talking about Zoilo Versalles, 1965 Twins MVP of the American League. He hit .273. 19 homers, 77 runs batted in, Gold Glove. It's always important for a shortstop winning an MVP. Had 45 doubles and 12 triples that year.
You know, it's astounding how you can go back to your youthful days and numbers will pass through your head and they stick for some reason. I remember to some degree or another. But you know, I mentioned that I thought Versailles had hit 270 something. It's not like I've checked that in the last 40 years, but the numbers are still the same.
I saw you checking it on your laptop.
You are always just, you know, giving me away.
I looked over your shoulder and you were checking Versailles' numbers. You didn't really remember that. No, isn't that funny though how when you're young,
you have those experiences?
Yeah, they can get ingrained. Not so much when you're older. Ground ball, VR checks the runner at second, throws to first. Very athletic play. Round number 2.
Yeah, when you see Jonathan VR like this, I think the only conclusion you can make is somebody, if you've been around the game for some time, is that, boy, this kid has a chance to be really something. And I think that's what most of the folks with the Astros believe right now. He's got the tools. It's there.
That's 2 outs. Now Brendan Ryan, the batter. Ryan grounded to shortstop. His former club, the Cardinals, is shutting out Chicago 4-0 in the bottom of the third. Lance Lynn pitching for St. Louis tonight. Foul away, strike one. And the big game involves Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Pittsburgh leads 4-1 at Cincinnati in the top of the 7th inning. And Pittsburgh currently has a 1-game lead on Cincinnati in the wild card race. So if the Pirates win tonight, they would be 2 up with 2 to go, and I believe they hold the tiebreaker on the Reds for the home field advantage if they would tie for that spot. A looping beyond second base, and here's VR out into shallow left center field. Good running catch. 3 runs come the Yankees' way on 3 hits with an error and a man left. They lead at 3-0.
By M.D. Anderson, making cancer history. September 27th, 1963, the Colt 45s use an all-rookie lineup which includes 4 future All-Stars in a game against the Mets. Jimmy Wynn, Rusty Staub, Joe Morgan, and catcher Jerry Grody are all part of the all-rookie game.
An all-rookie game.
Some pretty good names there. And see, that kind of falls back in that realm for me that was, I guess, the list of guys that where the names stuck and the numbers stuck and really means something.
Got a question for you about that group. Jimmy Wynn, by the way, was on the field before the game tonight, taking part in some of the ceremonies, honoring his good friend, PA announcer Bob Ford. And also he was out there for another presentation. Here's Mark Krause with the Astros trailing 3-0. Bottom of the 4th inning. Krause led off the bottom of the 2nd with a walk against Adam Warren. You talk about those big stars from the mid-'60s, and ran across a quote from Joe Torre, who's going to be here Sunday to honor Mariano Rivera, and he talked about Sandy Koufax. So his statement was that he doesn't think there's been a more respected player than Mariano since Sandy Koufax.
Well, you know, Mariano's done it a long time. Sandy didn't really do it for a long time, but he did it in such a fashion for a relatively brief period of time that I think he was that respected guy. I think the name came out of the game, Sandy Koufax, as being the game's greatest pitcher. Certainly at that time, and among those, the greats that have ever pitched in the game.
Adams to his right, backhands, and throws over to first for out number 1.
But it was also an era of some great pitching. There was Bob Gibson, and he put together that absolutely amazing 1.12 ERA season. There were a number of guys, Juan Marichal, Don Drysdale, and on and on. But Sandy Koufax seemed to be the guy at the top of the heap.
And he's probably talking about the entire embodiment of a classy guy who carried himself off the field as well as on.
I think that's true.
Sandy
was one of my guys. I grew up in Southern California, idolized Sandy, and Tommy Davis was the other guy. Just a great hitting outfielder.
Did you ever get to meet either one of them?
Both. And the experience was wonderful in each case. Sandy Koufax could not be a classier individual. And Tommy Davis turned out to be the same, and I got to meet Tommy in a setting away from baseball. But yeah, just really special for me because they turned out to actually be the guys I perceived them to be.
2-1 to Carter.
Who were the guys that you really idolized back then?
Oh, of course, Mantle.
Yeah.
One would surprise you, Nellie Fox. 3 balls and a strike.
You liked that barrel bat, didn't you?
Well, it was unusual. But what I liked was he was a small guy. The odds were against him even making the major leagues, and he became an MVP. Check swing, and it stays right there for the catcher. And the throw goes from Murphy to Reynolds for out number 2. But I sense that there's now a whole generation of people that will be watching Sunday when Mariano Rivera is on the field for the last time.
And they should. The guy's been so far above everybody else that has tried to perform that position as closer in the major leagues. And there have been some really great ones, but it's just an automatic response, and it's a true one, that Mariano is the best of all time.
And you asked Ken Singleton, who's working next door on the Yes Network, Yankees TV, if he is as good a man as he's been portrayed, and he said absolutely.
Better. Yeah, and it's a cool answer, because you can run into situations in this game and in life that's not the case. But in this case, it was an honest, genuine answer from Ken Singleton, and I think from others, that he is everything he's portrayed to be, and that's it's really special.
Well, this really dawns on us now. Ken Singleton there And Michael Kay doing Yes Network TV. And Ken's been around a long time as a player and broadcaster. And he's seen so many greats and played with so many greats. But we unfortunately have just not had a chance to witness Mariano Rivera very much. With the Astros being a National League club, and it's going to be a real treat for us to see him hopefully get into a game this weekend.
You as a non-hitter can say unfortunately. For the players, it may not go that direction.
Crow is caught looking at strikeout number 3 for Adam Warren, and it's 3-0 Yankees.
Toyota dealer. Who was the first reliever to win a Cy Young Award?
First reliever.
I think I know. Got a spark of an idea. How about that night?
Just one of those rare nights. And fans will remember that for their entire lives after witnessing that game.
See the genuine reaction from Joe Girardi? I just think he has been so ideal for that club.
He has. 3-0 lead for the Yankees, and there's a foul ball by Murphy leading off the 5th inning. He doubled in the 3rd, became the first Yankee base runner after Oberholzer retired the first 8 to face him. What do you think the Yankees would do if they didn't have Joe Girardi as their skipper?
Well, I'm sure they'd have the pick of the litter, and the Cubs may get the pick of the litter with Joe Girardi this year, from everything we're hearing.
Now, we have read that they plan to notify Dale Swain, their current manager, on Monday about his future, right?
Well, that's the fair thing to do, but it's so fair that it makes me wonder if the answer is thanks for your efforts, but we're going to move on.
Okay.
I don't know. Does it make you feel that way?
I'm just curious. I don't really know.
If the answer is you're coming back, why not tell him now?
Well, that's a good point. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And if the Cubs, who are willing to spend money, are able to bring in the guy they really want, seems like they would do it.
Girardi, of course, has not been commenting on that. He has these games to manage this weekend. But you'd think that that would be taken care of in fairly short order. In the air on the infield, Jonathan Villar moves in for it. That's out number 1.
Joe Girardi grew up in the Chicago area, and that would be the lure for him to go that direction.
Into Northwestern. It will truly be interesting to see what evolves with his future. The Yankees this year have their fewest wins since the strike-shortened '94 season when they were 79-65. Granderson takes a strike. He's 0 for 2. This will be their fewest wins in a full season since '92. They won 82 and lost 77. Extenuating circumstances. Lots of injuries and lots of old players.
I don't often feel that a manager makes a huge positive difference for a ball club, but in the case of Joe Girardi, I feel like that his relationship with Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and the emotional aspect it brings out, I feel like he's been ideal. But then I thought Joe Torre was that same guy too.
Anderson strikes out. Strikeout number 3 for Obi. And Jeter's had the frustrations of those injuries just about all season long. Anxious to come back next year healthy, but at the advanced age, it's hard to know what the Yankees will get from him. Eduardo Nunez is the batter. He's 0 for 2. But what a core group that was, with Jorge Posada joining Jeter and Pettitte and Rivera all coming up together in the mid-90s.
Saw some of the great shots from Yankee Stadium from yesterday, and of course they showed great moments in Mariano Rivera's career, and Jorge Posada was certainly a part of that.
Barnes out to left center field, makes the running catch. Good play by Barnes to make it a 1-2-3 for Oberholzer. 3-0 Yankees. Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. We just had the ceremony on the field. Andy Pettitte presented by Reed Ryan with the uniform jersey framed from his time with the Astros, and at the greeting of this crowd tonight. Nice sized crowd at Minute Maid Park. As the video was played up on the big screen, El Grande, Andy acknowledged the Houston fans here in attendance tonight. And he'll be pitching tomorrow night.
2004, 2005, 2006, the years he was here. Of course, 05, the World Series year, and Andy Pettitte was hugely important for the club. He was 17-9 in that World Series year. One of the really good guys you'll run into.
And he'll be back home in Deer Park now. He said he had an idea of what he would do in retirement, because in 2011 he sat out a year in retirement and he enjoyed that, but talked about his years in Houston and how it enabled him to do some things involving his family, go out and take part in the kids' activities, since he was playing here and not in New York, and that was a special time for him. And of course, that 05 World Series, he won 17 games during the regular season that year, was a big part of that club.
255 career wins. That's got to get tempting to say, could I stick around and get to 300?
And yet he didn't even talk about that today. There was one question about whether he had realized his goals, and he said, yes, when we won our first World Series, I realized my goal.
Yeah, then you talk postseason pitching, and we talked about it on the pregame show today, but 19-11 in the postseason in 14 years, 32 different series he was involved in. It's a storied career he's had.
Alex Rodriguez sidelined by 4 leg injuries. Alongside Andy Pettitte as they watch the bottom of the 5th inning. Adam Warren is into what we probably view as bonus time for Joe Girardi now. He has made only 1 major league start this year, and so at this point he's gone 4 innings, has pitched a shutout. L.J. Hose leads it off in the home 5th inning. He's needed only 51 pitches. 36 have been strikes. That's why things have been so efficient for Adam Warren, who throws ball 1. Shooting for win number 3 of the season. Yankees have not announced their starter for Sunday yet. Eric Bedard will be the Astros starter. Strike makes it 2-1 to L.J. Hose. First major league game ever played in the Astrodome was an exhibition between the Astros and the Yankees. Mickey Mantle was the first batter, hit the first homer. 3 balls and a strike. The first major league game ever played here at Minute Maid Park was an exhibition win by the Astros over the Yankees here, 6-5. All the way, former President George H.W. Bush was here. Derek Jeter and Roger Clemens, who was the starting pitcher, appeared in the game. And the starter for Houston, Dwight Gooden. Pretty good trivia question. Boy, that would stump
A whole lot of folks, including me.
Yes, it would. Ground ball to third. Nunez. 1 out. And Corcoran will bat next. This 12-game losing streak for the Astros is tied for the longest in franchise history. It's been a tough stretch for them. They have not had a lot of offense along the way. It's been very difficult for them when they do fall behind in a game to get much going.
There were periods leading up to this final month of the year, Brownie, where I thought, well, these young guys are starting to gel together. It's starting to look like a bunch that's growing as a team. And then it just all kind of collapsed. And I wonder if it has anything to do with the fatigue of the long season setting in on young players.
That would have to be a factor anyway, wouldn't it?
It certainly could be. Of course, every other club is facing the same thing.
Right.
But I think when you're talking young players, you're talking about a shorter minor league year that they've typically had. Ends at the end of August. You get to September, and it just feels like, wow, another month. And I wonder if that's a factor.
David Phelps is warming up in the bullpen for the Yankees, a right-hander. Corp looks at it. The appeal goes to third. Now he swung. And they're called by Gary Cederstrom, and it's 1-2.
And that flips out kind of the hands right at the last moment. I don't think Corp even felt that.
Brandon Barnes is on deck. Well, we hear that all the time. Well, the Astros have so many rookies. They haven't played an entire 6-month season in their career yet until this year. Fly ball to shallow left field. Soriano moving over. Can you recall back what was the big difference? Obviously, when you're in the minor leagues, your season is over usually in early September. What does that extra month do to you the first time you go through a major league season?
I'm not sure if it's as much psychological, where you're actually thinking about it, aware of it, as possibly just when it's all said and done, you look back and go, what? I must have been tired there in September. Or, you know, sometimes a guy will actually suddenly thrive at that time of the year. Sequence can be just pure chance, I think, at times. But a lot of it, no doubt, comes down to what kind of shape you kept yourself in the entire time. Bad answer for a good question, but I don't know that everybody really has an answer to what goes on.
Right. 0-2 to Barnes, who singled earlier. Well, we've heard players say after their first full season in the major leagues, I'm going to work harder on my conditioning because of that extra month that really hit me hard.
Yeah, you hear stuff like that. And of course, every year you go to spring training, you'll hear every player have his story as to why this year is going to be the year. And occasionally it works out. Occasionally it doesn't. I'm now going to go back to my previous plan.
Strikeout number 4. Adam Warren has 5 shutout innings. The Yankees lead at 3-0.
Progressive fan of the game. The crowd a little rowdy because there's a proposal happening right now, but we have a chance to catch up with Brian and Gerald. Brian's my fan of the game here. He's lived in Houston for 32 years, but he's wearing the wrong jersey. But I'm going to let you explain yourself.
I'm originally from New York, been in Houston for 32 years. When I saw the Yankees were coming this weekend, the last game of the season, September 28th, my brother Gerald, it's his birthday tomorrow. I got tickets for all 3 games because God's gifted me with the world's best brother. And what a way to celebrate. But sending Andy and Mo off to their retirement, 2 guys that we've grown up with. And we just love the Yankees, and we're just thankful to be here.
We're happy that you're here. I do want to ask Gerald one question because he lives in New York still. Hasn't been to Texas in a long time. How do you like Texas?
It's been hot here. New York was about 50 degrees when I left, 45, 50. So it's been cooler, and, you know. But I like the hot weather, so I was happy to come. And it was very nice of my brother to do this for me and invite me down here. So
thank y'all for taking the time and enjoy the game. Happy birthday, guys.
Thanks, Julia. What, it doesn't get hot in New York?
Not much. That humidity can be pretty close to Houston-like.
Yes, it can. 1 ball, 1 strike to Robinson Cano. His single started the 3-run rally with 1 out in the 4th inning. And looks at that one. It's 2-1.
You see Julia's reaction to 50 degrees?
Yeah. She doesn't want any part of that 50-degree stuff. Well, it better be at least 80 degrees or she's not a happy camper.
We've had the jokes about UT there in Austin, and I think they Julia said they shut down the campus one time because the temperature had reached, what, 32 degrees or something? Can't function at this level.
That's a true story.
Really?
It was really cold. I think they expected sleet, but it never came.
Okay.
So it's going to be just a nice cold day, no school.
I wonder if they shut down NYU at 50 degrees.
Julia, did you hear the Rangers situation with their weather concerns for tomorrow's game?
Wow, I did.
Is that crazy?
How about playing at 11 a.m.? You know that means the players have to be there by 7.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a 7:05 scheduled game. They're afraid that they're going to really get a gully washer, and so they moved the game up to 11 a.m. That's pretty rare, but somewhat understandable, Ash, because otherwise they could have a doubleheader Sunday on the final day of the season, and then perhaps multiple playoff games after that.
Yeah, I think it's a great plan. Odd one, but I'd love to see more of those 11 o'clock type starts in spring training rather than guys coming out at 8 in the morning and then doing their work and sitting around for so long to get ready for a 1 o'clock game. Let's get it going, guys.
Okay. Were you advocating that when you were playing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Strikeout number 4, Josh Zide warming up for Houston.
I honestly never enjoyed the sitting around in the clubhouse anticipation kind of period of time. I'd rather go strap it on and go.
Soriano struck out, then he walked and scored. Eric Wedge of the Seattle Mariners says it was painfully obvious he wasn't going to be able to move forward with the Mariners, and he informed the club today he will not return next season. So apparently he and general manager Jack Zarinsek are not on the same page. Zarinsek wanted him to return and was prepared to inform him of that during a meeting on Monday.
I wonder how much of that came down to for Eric Wedge, the health issues he had this year.
It could be part of it. Zarinsek said his job was not in danger. This was his decision. I was looking forward to having Eric back. But Wedge said sometimes people just don't see things the same way, and things just don't work out. Interesting. So walking away from the major league managing job. There's a line shot left field. And the fan reached over. It's going to be fan interference on this one. The call was made right away by Gary Cederstrom. It was obvious the fan reached over that yellow line. Really wish people would not do that. And he did not make the catch anyway, so he doesn't get the baseball.
Joe Girardi's going to come out and discuss the possibility that maybe they take a look at it, I'm sure. And it's a Yankee fan. Imagine that.
Error fan. Let's take a look at it.
This ball was spanked pretty good. I don't know. Looked like right there at that yellow line. I don't know that you could say that ball was definitively out.
No. Looked like he reached over and down. So it's a ground rule double. It's ruled a double by the umpires. Soriano's 8th with the Yankees, but because of the fan interference, the umpires are going to check the replay on it to make sure that he's not Jeffrey Mayer.
So where is this ball? That's going to hit at or possibly even below that yellow line in my judgment.
I have to agree with you.
And if they give me a call, that's what I will declare.
Pretty clear-cut call. But now here's a Yankee fan. What if he had cost Soriano a home run?
Or what if he had given Soriano a home run?
Yeah, well, I'm sure
catch the ball cleanly. If you catch it cleanly, you never know what you might come up with there.
Yeah.
I think the lesson to be learned is if you're going to reach for a baseball, at least have a good pair of hands. Yeah, I think it's the same story. Each time you see it.
Two-base error. That's a clank job.
Yeah, that's right. The number one part of the story is the guy's got bad hands. They'll rule it a double.
Yeah. Soriano on with a double with 1 out.
Guy's thinking to himself, okay, so I had no impact on the play and I dropped the baseball.
Now Bo Porter is coming out as Josh Side warmed up in the bullpen. And Mark Reynolds, a right-handed hitter with very good power, coming up next. 81 pitches for Oberholzer, and he's coming out. Bo was explaining something to him and also buying some more time for Zide, but after the delay there had been plenty of time for Zide to get ready. So that's it for Oberholzer tonight. 5 1/3 innings of work. He's allowed 5 hits, 3 runs so far. He's walked 1 and fanned 4, and we'll be right back. Second base, Josh Side is warming up. Here's the ninth for Brett Oberholzer.
Well, for Obi on this final start of the year, I think it is a strong finish. He's not in a good position, obviously. He can lose tonight's ballgame, but I really felt like he continued to pitch the way he has now in 10 starts with the ball club. I have loved what I've seen from Brett Oberholzer. He has caused me to buy in. And we saw him tonight utilize the changeup when he was behind in counts, even the 3-2 strikeout. He can throw any pitch, any count, throw them for strikes, and it's quality stuff. And I think Doug Rocaille is imparting that very same information. Very good stuff.
It's been really tough for these Astros starting pitchers. Of the 3 runs he's allowed, 2 earned. Of course, the runner at second, Soriano, is his responsibility as Josh Zide works to Reynolds. Very difficult, though, for these starting pitchers who have accumulated a total of 37 wins for Houston this year. Strike to Reynolds. Reynolds with an RBI single in 2 trips. It's just not something that would be a good idea if you're looking at the Houston club and trying to measure starting pitchers to try to go by wins and losses this year. You know, one statistic that some baseball mavens look at very strongly and regarding a pitcher, you see Josh Zide's numbers, 0-1 with a 4.01 ERA, and left-handers 190, right-handers 327 is whip. And Brett Oberholzer's whip, walks and hits per innings pitched before this game tonight was 1.10. That is outstanding.
Get close to that 1 mark, and you have had an outstanding campaign.
Popped up, VR headed out. Barnes coming in. Barnes calls him off. 2 outs. So I get in on Reynolds.
Yeah, I haven't at any time felt like Brett Oberholzer was just struggling and leaving himself where he had to come in a whole lot. It happens for any pitcher at some time over the course of a game. But I feel like this young left-hander has a real good clue as to what he's doing.
David Adams is the batter. Adams had the 2-run double into the right field corner in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. Takes a look at it, and it's strike 1. The Red Sox are blasting Baltimore 11-3. They're in the bottom of the 8th at Baltimore. Red Sox going for win number 97. And that will put them in very good stead toward the best record in baseball if they get it.
Red Sox, like the Tigers, have a very good starting rotation.
They certainly do. That's a foul tip for a strike, and it's 0-2.
I don't think I've ever seen a catcher trying to show the umpire that he had caught a foul tip on the 2nd strike. I think that's a first.
Okay. Now that Red Sox club, and now Jacoby Ellsbury has worked his way back in. That could be meaningful for the Red Sox going into postseason. Very strong team. Struck him out. And Zide comes in with relief as Oberholzer goes the first 5 1/3. The Yankees lead it 3-0.
Game of the season as the Astros take on Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees this Sunday at 1:10 10,000 fans will receive a team poster courtesy of Houston Chronicle. You could also win a great prize every inning as part of Fan Appreciation Day. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com for tickets, guys.
Thanks, Julia. David Phelps warming up as the Yankees have built a 3-0 lead. And the right-hander will take over for Adam Warren. Warren in 5 innings allowed 2 hits, no runs, walked 1, fanned 4. And he retired the last 9 men he faced. Phelps is 6-5. His ERA 4.93.
Lefties, righties just about equal in terms of what he does. 8 homers allowed in 84 innings. That's a good figure. Some pretty good inner numbers. I'm sure he's thinking, I'd love to get that ERA at least a run down from there.
Phelps comes in with that 3-run lead and faces the top of the order here in the Astros 6th inning. Villar, Altuve, and Dominguez. Yankee bullpen has won 29 and lost 14 with the best winning percentage in the American League, .674. And with the fabulous Mariano Rivera saving 44 games. They have been well fixed at the end of ball games. Jonathan Villar is 0 for 2. David Robertson is a top-notch setup man for Rivera. Phelps is 26 years old. Villar around a bunt, takes ball 1. Phelps was born in St. Louis, went to Notre Dame. 14th round pick in 08 by the Yankees. Last year he was a starter and reliever. Started against the Astros this year at Yankee Stadium May 1st. And he got a no decision. He gave up 4 runs in 5 2/3 innings. He had a 4-0 lead in that game until the Astros got 4 in the 4th. They batted around. And they'd love to repeat that scenario, trailing here 3-0. Villar wants another bat.
Bat boy is supposed to run that bat on out to the hitter so you don't have this kind of delay going on.
Okay.
Yeah. Streamline this thing.
Okay. Villar takes a look at it. It's a strike. That makes it 1-2. Well, the Rays have lost in Toronto. So the Indians can climb into a tie for the American League wild card lead if they hold their 7-1 lead.
Wouldn't have guessed that possible at the start of the year. Terry Francona being as good as he is, and yet that's a tough ascent that club's made.
Really.
Astros Trivia is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. The question we had was, who was the first reliever to win a Cy Young Award? What it meant was, who was the first American League reliever to win a Cy Young Award? No, it's not Mariano Rivera. It's Sparky Lyle back in 1977. Pretty good mustache had by Spark. Remember the Yankees?
1974, Mike Marshall won for the Dodgers. Liner by Altuve, caught by Phelps. 2 outs. Pretty clear cut on Cy Young this year, don't you think, in both leagues? Or did you have a problem with Clayton Kershaw and Max Scherzer?
No, not at all. I think Clayton Kershaw is a given, and probably Scherzer is as well. Sometimes a late skid in the season can hamper a guy.
Matt Dominguez is grounded out to short and fly to right.
You good with both of those selections?
Very good with both of those. Completely at peace. We'll sleep extremely well once those awards are announced.
You're a bad man.
What would you think about the National League Rookie of the Year, though? That gets a little murky. Some people like Jose Fernandez of the Miami Marlins.
It's been awfully good.
Others like Yasiel Puig. Others like Shelby Miller. Some strong candidates there.
I think Puig might garner my attention just because of the impact that I feel it had on the Dodgers club, the turnaround that that they underwent right, whether it's because of or not, right at that same time.
Yeah. And he's certainly been a mercurial performer. 3 balls and a strike.
Yeah, he's been all of that. When he's been good, he's lifted that club. When he's been bad, he's probably been a hindrance, I would think, at times.
Well, his teammates have had to pull him aside a few times and let him know some things that he should be doing differently. That's a 2-out walk. Dominguez takes the stroll, and Mark Krause comes up. Larry Beinfest of the Marlins is gone as president of baseball operations. Marlins on a shakedown now. Preston Claiborne is warming up for the Yankees. The Yankees will open the season here in 2014. And we heard some talk before the game tonight among Yankees traveling personnel. Apparently there's a rumor that they might be playing some exhibition games in Panama before they come here.
What I found really intriguing was they had their Google map search going to find out where Panama was. I wanted to say, guys, are you kidding me?
Let's see, it's a canal. Okay.
Let's see. Does that canal run all the way through New Jersey?
Well, if it doesn't, it probably, no, not to use a stereotype, but you know how it is. People have lived around the Hudson River their entire lives. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, I thought that was classic. I didn't want to bust out laughing, but I had some inner chuckles going on.
Ground ball, and there's Adams backhanding. Adams throwing to first. In the 6th inning, no runs, no hits, and a man stranded, and it's 3-0 Yankees.
Showdown as second-ranked Eastern Washington comes to Texas for a matchup with the 4th-ranked Bearcats of Sam Houston State, a high-stakes shootout you do not want to miss. This Saturday at 2 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet, guys.
What's your prediction on that one, Julia?
Ooh, I've got the Bearcats.
Okay. Steve Sparks will be very pleased with that. We move to the 7th inning. It's 3-0. The Yankees lead the Astros. Almonte is 0 for 2 in this game. 2 ground balls to shortstop. Almonte is a switch hitter. And there's ball 1. Oberholzer in 5 1/3 innings allowed 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned. Walking 1, fanning 4. The attendance tonight is 29,486. Good Friday night crowd. They'll be treated to fireworks after the game on a big and bright Friday night. 2-0. We're talking about Panama. The Astros will make a significant joint announcement tomorrow with the governor of Veracruz, Mexico. Dr. Javier Duarte de Ochoa at a 2 p.m. press conference on Saturday at Minute Maid Park. Astros GM Jeff Luhnow and President Reed Ryan will be in attendance, along with officials from the Veracruz Red Eagles Professional Baseball Club. What's up with that, Ash?
Boy, I couldn't begin unless there's going to be a couple of spring training games possibly played there.
Well, yeah. Okay, let's think ahead now. Is next year the final year on the contract with Osceola County Stadium?
No, what I understand is there may be 3 more years on that.
Oh.
2 to 3 years anyway.
Well, it certainly doesn't preclude the club from playing in other countries. We've seen that happen several times down through the years.
You know, we've done it, both of us. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Venezuela.
What was your favorite place to go of those 3?
Probably Puerto Rico. But I enjoyed, and actually we went to Mexico City as well, you may recall. So we made the rounds.
Almonte strikes out. That's 3 in a row for Zide.
Yeah, I enjoyed Puerto Rico, but I enjoyed the other places as well.
Lefty Kevin Chapman's warming up for Houston.
What'd you think?
I like the Dominican because at that time Jose Lima was with the Astros.
Yes, that's true.
And he had his salsa band, and they put on a performance there at the hotel.
Actually, it was Jose Lima that put the performance on.
Well, that's true.
He was a one-man show, I thought, and very good.
Very entertaining, yes. Brendan Ryan has hit the ball to shortstop both times tonight. There's strike one to him. Pittsburgh has won at Cincinnati 4-1 tonight. A.J. Burnett winning. He's 10-11. He beat Homer Bailey, who's 11-12. And Jason Grilli got his 33rd save. So the Pirates are looking very good. They have a 2-game lead over Cincinnati with 2 to play.
Well, that's a lock for the Pirates, right?
Yes, it is. Fly ball hooks outside the left field line and well foul. 0-2. Pedro Alvarez, the big bull, went deep again for the Buccos, Ash.
The guy's got a little bit of pop, you might see, and straight away center field. Looked like it was realized on the hill right away. Wow, that's a bolt.
There it is.
Yeah, he's not one of your high average hitters, but he can crush it.
He hit it off that bunker out in center field.
Is that what they officially call it, the bunker?
That's what we called it when we went there. But no, it's definitely unofficial. Fouled away. It looked like a bunker. We always wondered if there were troops with mortars crouching down behind that big wall.
Well, they could have used him. Number 35 for Pedro Alvarez.
Like that. Well, happy times for Clint Hurdle. His club is now 92-68, but the St. Louis Cardinals have the top spot, as you know, in the NL Central. Oh, trying to get out of the way. Ryan fouled it.
Well, this became dangerous twice. Up and in. We saw Zaid have one get away from him the other day. Trying to think of who the hitter was that was a bit angered about the whole thing. But then,
it was Mr. Adrian Beltre.
Yeah, that's right. Then, as this went into the seats, this was no joyride.
Wasn't that an 0-2 pitch on Beltre?
I think it might have been, yes. He was not tickled at all.
No, he looked extremely angry. Rolled out to second. Altuve over to first. He gets a hustling Ryan, 2 outs. And understand that a hitter is really going to be angered when he's in pain like that, but thinking about the situation, 0-2 pitch, is that what a pitcher's going to be trying to do to you? 0-2.
It was also a situation with a man on third base, and the Astros couldn't afford to cough up a run. If you're trying to hit somebody, you're 50-50, probably taking a shot at throwing one to the backstop.
J.R. Murphy, the batter, he has doubled and popped a short. The Cardinals are crushing the Cubs 6-0, bottom of the 6th inning. Shooting for win number 95. And it gets interesting too with home field advantage in the playoffs as far as the best records in the league. St. Louis and Atlanta came into play tonight tied for the best records in the National League at 94 and 65.
Those Cardinals just do it year after year.
They're amazing. Foul back. Saw a little bit of Jeff Luno's radio show last night, Ash, and he was talking about the Astros' plans for next year, and the topic of the Cardinals came up, and he talked about Matt Adams and what a nice job he's done filling in at first base for the injured Alan Craig.
Pinch hitter deluxe.
Yes. He also got a question about this year's first draft choice, and he said, you know, the scenario is that he gets here in 2015, but there's another scenario, maybe it's next year at some point during the season. And a strikeout. That's number 3 for Zaid. It's 3-0 Yankees.
AT&T tweet of the game. This one's a little different. Metallica. Check this out. Lead guitarist Kirk Hammett drops by Minute Maid Park before the Astros host the Yankees this weekend. That was the Astros tweeting that. Not every day that happens. He also played a part of a video that took place right here. It was promoting Metallica's new 3D movie that will be in IMAX theaters. Through the Never is what it's called. And guys, it sounded great on the new sound system here at Minute Maid Park. Astros upgraded the audio system by installing Gilman Sound's concert quality. Look at this guy. This is the coolest thing ever. Ash, I feel like you guys should go back and forth and have a guitar off.
Yeah, I don't know about a guitar off, but I wouldn't mind having a conversation or a little bit of a lesson. Of course, that lesson might extend to about 25 hours to get something out of it. But there you go. There's Brownie style. This is what Brownie calls hard rock.
Pretty much. That's the way they treated Mariano Rivera.
Wow.
In Boston.
That is good stuff.
Symphony treatment of Enter Sandman.
You know, I'm told that Kirk Hammett said that the sound system was the best here in this ballpark that he's run into in any stadium, and that he feels like you could just plug in and have a great concert here.
Well, we'll have a chance to experience that many times in years to come.
Julia's down in the seats. Sorry to cut in there. I'm curious what Julia's hearing in terms of the sound system tonight.
Well, because I am such a guru on... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It sounds great, guys. I heard them testing things a while back, and tonight it's wonderful.
Julia, you're invited to a media session on Sunday. They're going to debut that in the stands before the game Sunday, by the way.
Bring your guitar.
Excellent.
Well, there's a lot going on in this series, Julia. More than your normal activity, press conferences, different people to talk to, people retiring. There's a real buzz here. There's a fly ball up the right field line. Ho's coming over, and he won't get to it. Don't you sense that this is quite different from the recent series we've experienced?
Hey, we are going out big, aren't we?
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of fun. It's very busy, but it's all very, very neat stuff to be a part of and to see. So wouldn't have it any other way.
There's Carter at the plate, 0-2 the count before we went to commercial at the top of the inning, referring to Mark Appel, this year's first draft choice. The fact that Jeff Luhnow had said on his radio show that there was a scenario which would put Mark Appel in the big leagues next year. But he said, we'll take a look at him next spring, and that will determine whether he'll go to Class A Lancaster or AA Corpus Christi based on his performance to start next season.
I wonder what the scouting reports say this year in terms of Appel versus some of the other very impressive arms in the minor league system. Is he actually ahead of these guys?
Good question. We know that there are many talented pitchers, and Mike Foltynewicz has been discussed at great length.
Well, that's an arm that intrigues me. You get a guy that has that 100-mile-an-hour plus fastball, and you ought to be intrigued.
And Carter has worked his way back to a 3-2 count after falling behind Phelps, 0-2. Phelps was in 33 games last year with the Yankees. He started 11. And the breaking pitch goes for ball 4. Great job by Carter. He was down in the count 0-2, and he fought his way back and drew the leadoff walk.
The Astros continue their series against Andy Pettitte and the New York Yankees tomorrow and Sunday. Be a part of history as Mariano Rivera closes out his Hall of Fame career with a special pregame ceremony on Sunday the 29th. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com for your tickets.
One of the great guys who's put on an Astros uniform and for all those years with the New York Yankees, Andy Pettitte. We'll take him out one more time against a guy named Clemens, Paul, tomorrow night. That is ball 1 to Crow. Crow has struck out twice in this game. The Braves shut out the Phillies in Atlanta 1-0 on an 8th inning run. Chris Medlin going to 15-12, beating Cliff Lee, who's a tough luck 14-8. Craig Kimbrell got his 50th save.
Wow, he's something. Did you say Pettitte and Clemens are going at it?
Pettitte and Clemens tomorrow night.
Wow.
Another Clemens. Roger will be here Sunday, as well as Joe Torre, to honor Mariano Rivera before the game.
There's 3 of the game's big stars right there.
Sabathia is out for the season with a hamstring injury. He's been trying to pitch with that for weeks. Had not been successful in the second half of the season, but the Yankees are certainly counting on him. It's 2 balls, 1 strike. The only run in that Atlanta 1-0 win over the Phillies was provided by Chris Johnson with his 12th home run. It was an 8th inning homer off Cliff Lee. Chris 1 for 3 tonight, 324 for the season.
Doesn't look like he's going to win that batting title. Looks like Michael Kadire of the Rockies is going to come away. He's got an 11-point lead right now.
Fly ball right field. Almonte backing on it. With the count for out number 1.
Of course, we talk about Andy Pettitte, and I think one area when you go beyond 255 wins is what he's done in the postseason. 19 victories. 44 starts. That's just amazing. Of course, the Yankees find their way into the postseason a lot, but great ERA to go with it, the strikeouts, the whip. Andy Pettitte is one of the all-time great postseason pitchers.
Question for you about that. How strong is that as a Hall of Fame consideration when added to the regular season performance of a player?
I think it's worth strong consideration. Look, what do people talk about with guys that don't have 300 wins as a pitcher or don't have 3,000 hits as a position player? Talk about, well, was he ever the best? How was he in the postseason? What about the World Series? The big games. That's what people talk about. And in the big games, the postseason, Andy Pettitte has been among the very best.
No denying that. Jabba Chamberlain warming up. Here's the other issue to that, though. Ernie Banks never got to the postseason. Should that penalize him?
No. No, I don't want to say that. I'm just replying to what people will say as arguments to, well, this guy shouldn't be in there because he was never a part of what I just said. But Ernie Banks was one of the best.
Clean hit by Ryan on through in the left center field. A single by L.J. Hose on an 0-2 count. And now the Astros have something working with Carlos Corcoran coming up.
That's why I brought up the multiple boxes, is because you can check some of those boxes for Ernie Banks. One you can't check is the postseason.
It's always interesting because a player shouldn't be penalized because he wasn't on a playoff team, but in Andy's case, the postseason numbers are so compelling they have to be considered.
Was he really good in the really big games? Absolutely.
He would be the guy who would normally get game 2 of a postseason series.
Look, I think 250 wins might become the next standard when you start talking about 5-man rotations.
That's a good point.
It could lower below that figure.
Chapman warming up.
I don't know. What do you think? Are we going to see 300-game winners?
No.
I don't think so either.
They're going to become like dinosaurs.
So if Pettitte sits out there with 255 wins and doesn't get in, and then somewhere down the line they reestablish the figure that says, oh, that's a Hall of Fame credential.
0-2, yes, that's a very interesting thing to ponder about Hall of Fame voting, because the wins will be coming down in their careers by starting pitchers, just the way clubs use them now.
They have to.
And if you're comparing across eras, Pettitte's 255 will look a lot stronger 20 years from now than now.
Yep.
But that wasn't a part of the era in which he pitched.
No.
It's 1-2. The Astros really scuffling. They had a chance with Corcoran batting and 2 men on. In the second, he made the final out. And so now they are 0 for their last 37 with 2 outs and men in scoring position. 1 out here. He rips that one foul, but they'll take a hit here even though there's only 1 out. It's just been so difficult for them. And they have the fewest come from behind wins in the American League, 22. Well, they could really find a spark if they could do something to come from behind here in the 7th inning. And here's the other question. We don't know the answer. Is Mariano Rivera available tonight? Fly ball out to right center field. Granderson going for it. And it's out number 2. And Brandon Barnes is being called back, it would appear. Looks like Brett Wallace is going to pinch hit for him.
With that very special night that took place in New York last night, I'm surprised that we're even considering Mariano Rivera coming in a ball game, but apparently we are here in this series.
Joe Girardi with a pat on the chest there for David Phelps, who goes an inning and 2/3, giving up 1 hit. We'll be right back with the score, 3-0 Yankees.
I want to remind you to tune in to Chevy Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 9:30 on CSN. Chevy Hometown Kids, where it's not about the score, but the experience. Okay?
Thanks, Julia. Jabba Chamberlain's warming up. He'll be pitcher number 3 for Joe Girardi. And Chamberlain has had a checkered season. He's had some issues with his command from time to time. In 44 games, he's 2-1 with a 4.97 ERA, walking 25 in 41 2/3 innings.
Well, he's had a lot of base runners. When you talk about those walks combined with the 45 hits, a whip up near 1.7. That's a lot of base runners for a guy who was once viewed as a lockdown reliever late in ball games.
Good point, Ash. He created a stir when he first came to the big leagues. Had 19 games with the Yankees in 07 and 08. He struck out 118 in 100 innings, but then his numbers have not been the same since then. He did have a decent year in 2011, but pitched only 27 times that year, just 22 appearances last season. Injuries have continued to pile up for him. He spent time on the DL with a right side strain this year, and now he comes in this key situation, leading by 3 with a potential tying run, represented in the pinch hitter Red Wallace. Wallace batting for Brandon Barnes. Brings a .220 average into the plate with 13 homers, 34 runs batted in. He's had 259 at bats. Time call now. Home plate umpire out from behind the dish. Wallace is 0 for 4 pinch hitting with 1 RBI.
You got to make the most out of your opportunities, and the opportunities have not been plentiful.
Out to center field. Granderson going for it. Granderson way back, and this is rolling up on Towles Hill. 2 runs are going to score. Wallace checking in with a pinch hit 2-run double, and it's 3-2. Great swing by Wallace, driving the ball deep to right center field and up on Towles Hill to bring this to a 1-run game.
Well, that's taking advantage and jumping on the first pitch you see. You take that hunch that Chamberlain's going to come in and bring a first pitch fastball, size him up and drill it. And a little bit of a circuitous route here by Granderson in center field as he cuts straight across and then back, and it was a bit too late.
There you see it. And Wallace makes it a 3-2 game, bringing up Jonathan Villar. Villar's 0 for 3. He shoots a line drive to left field. Wallace is being stopped by Dave Tremblay. And this one gets away, and the catcher Murphy slides to retrieve it. It was very shallow. Soriano charged the ball, sharply hit, came up throwing. Just really not an opportunity for Dave Tremblay to try to score Wallace on that sharply hit single by Villar, and that snaps an 0 for 19 for him.
It's a bit like playing at Fenway Park with that scoreboard in left field here. Shallow left fielders, and really looked like Soriano shallowed it up even more than a lot of guys. That's the stroke that Villar, when he's swinging it well, employs, and he doesn't kind of lift little soft fly balls to left field. He'll sting that line shot.
Deflected by Nunez, and then J.R. Murphy tracked it down.
Tough assignment for a third base coach. Get back time as that throw is anticipated to be cut. But once you send him back, then you really take away the chance for, with the deflection, a chance from 90 more feet.
So the big hit by Wallace prior to that single by Villar snaps that string for the Astros of hitless at bats with 2 outs and men in scoring position. It had reached 0 for 37. And now they have a chance to at least get even here with Altuve batting. It's like an equipment repair for Murphy. Murphy's scrambling to get to that baseball. And a nice result for Villar, who took it hard to left field.
That really was the pretty stroke, and that's actually the one when we talk about that left field stroke for Villar that he can do and does consistently. Pretty good guy working on your equipment, your shin guard there. Tony Pena, who has worked on a few shin guards through the years.
Former Astro player.
Look at this. Barrel down through the baseball. That's not kind of flipping that lead elbow up or anything. And this is what VR does so well. And I think why a lot of people think that offensively he's going to become a real stout player.
Jabba Chamberlain finding misfortune for the second straight outing. In his last trip to the mound on the 19th of September, he gave up a walk, a single, and a 3-run homer without retiring a batter in the 7th inning.
Joe Girardi knows a thing or two about catcher's equipment.
Now it's Altuve, who lined back to the pitcher in the 6th inning, lined out to center in the 1st. He's 0 for 3. Runners at 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. VR has 17 steals and 25 tries. Now Dominguez on deck. VR goes. No throw. And the pitch was strike one. 18th steal for VR.
Well, the steals have been tough to come by recently for the club. They had a string of 8 consecutive runners attempting to steal thrown out. But now starting to turn it back around.
Altuve chased it. It's 0-2 now. Lefty Cesar Cabral is warming up for the Yankees. The Yankees have the best record in the American League in one-run games. The Astros the worst. It's kicked around a little bit, but no advance as Murphy keeps it close. 1-2.
Murphy gets the job done here. It brings that glove up with him when he makes the block.
Yankees have looked at several different catchers this year. They've used different combinations of pitching and catching. Altuve tried to check his swing. The appeal went to first. He checked it. 2-2. Vic Carapazza with a call. The way Murphy asked for that right away. And had a shot at getting the call.
And if they saw that replay, some umpires might throw the thumb up on that one.
They might, Ash. Now ball 3. 3-2 to Altuve. Dominguez on deck. Chamberlain drafted in 06 after the first round from Lincoln, Nebraska, and the University of Nebraska. Altuve has worked a walk, and the bases are loaded for Dominguez.
Jabba Chamberlain is not making an adjustment on that slider at all. Just keeps yanking it off the outside edge.
Pitching coach Larry Rothschild goes out. Dominguez is 0 for 2 with a walk. The Astros as a team this year hitting just .232 with the bases loaded. Dominguez comes through here. This crowd's going to turn around. Dominguez a .254 hitter with runners in scoring position, looking for a big delivery here. Matt is 6 for 10 with the bases loaded. Has 20 runs batted in bases loaded situations, including 2 grand slams. And a strike one.
There's that typical outstanding swing by Matty Dominguez when he has a big situation. I'll tell you what, he has figured out how to get the good swings.
Lays off.
1-1. He's not feeling his way through this slider. He comes up empty, but that's giving himself a chance. That's a very good half.
Good pitch to swing at. He fouled it. It's 1-2.
Once upon a time, that high fastball from Jabba Chamberlain would be 96 to 98. And you see it at 94, not like it. That's a real problem, but he's not the same guy that he was the first couple of years he came up.
He's had Tommy John surgery. 2-2.
Front side is flying open on that slider.
Well, that's been the issue of the breaking ball for him. He's not able to get it close enough to tempt the hitter. Angels 3, Rangers 3. They're in the top of the 7th at Arlington. Fouled away. Dominguez with that late flick, fighting off the fastball, which was in a good location. Sometimes that could be a victory for a hitter, just to foul off that pitch. Maybe he'll get a better one to handle. Fly ball out to center field. Granderson is waiting for it. And it looked like Chamberlain got away with a hanging slider on that one. But the Astros get 2 runs on 3 hits. They leave through Wallace with the big pinch 2-run double. 3-2 Yankees.
It was Hispanic Heritage Street Festival presented by State Farm tomorrow. Come to the 6:10 game early for the free festival featuring live salsa music, dancing, an autograph session, beer, and local food trucks. Game tickets are available by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS, or you can do it right there at Astros.com.
Chris Carter has moved from first base to left field. Brendan Barnes leaving for the pinch hitter Brett Wallace. That's Trevor Crow. He's now moved from left field to center field, and Wallace stays in. He's at first base. There's a new pitcher as well, left-hander Kevin Chapman. Josh Zide was terrific. 1 2/3 innings. No hits, no runs, no walks. 3 strikeouts for Zide tonight.
Kevin Chapman comes in. It's been rather impressive in some areas. 193, very impressive. That ERA. The walks would be the area not so impressive and an area to be tidied up. If he does so, he's got a chance to be a real good lefty in the back end of the pen.
Granderson leads it off. He's 0 for 3. 1 to Granderson. Chapman pitched in the Texas series 3 days ago. 2/3 of an inning in that one, giving up 1 hit, no runs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin's done a great job of preventing runners inherited from scoring. Throws the slider for a 1-2 count now. Left-handed hitters have only 4 hits and 31 at-bats against Kevin. That works out to a 129 average for lefty hitters. And that's a strike to Granderson, and it's a strikeout for Chapman.
The Granny man's had a rough year. The injuries at the heart and center of that.
Nunez is 0 for 3 tonight. We'll watch that Yankee bullpen to see who is warming up. They are warming up a right-hander right now. Becomes intriguing with the Mariano Rivera story on a night like this. Strike to Nunez. Right now it's Preston Claiborne warming up. VR glides to his left. 2 outs. After the emotional high of last night and a long flight from New York to Houston, it would not be at all surprising to hear Joe Girardi say after the game, I did not want to use Mariano tonight.
If you we're intending to use Mariano Rivera here in this final 3-game series away from New York. Would it be game 3 that you would most consider?
Might be. Might very well be.
Yeah, I just don't even know. I guess if you preface it that way, if you're considering to do it, I guess it would be game 3 for me.
Well, because of the fact, as Cano takes ball 1, it is the final game. And sometimes a player just gets in that mood. He wants to play in his team's final game of the year if he's a relief pitcher.
I'm assuming.
Crow has it, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning with a score of 3-2 Yankees.
Over the Astros. Catch all of the action of the 2013 Major League postseason starting October 1st. Check your local listings for details, guys.
Well, we're confused as usual this time of year, Julia. Reading about the possibilities for a 3-team playoff for the American League wild card. It's crazy stuff, isn't it? It'll make your head spin.
I've been trying to keep up on Twitter tonight with some of the scores. It's exciting. It's crazy, though.
That's the way the final weekend should be. Crazy after 6 months of baseball. You bet. We love the craziness. Preston Claiborne in 42 games is 0-2. His ERA 4.25. And Ash, his walks are down 13 and 48 2/3 innings. He must be hitting his spots.
Giving up just a few more hits than innings. So yeah, that's a pretty nice set of numbers. Somehow winding up with a 4.25 ERA. Pitching in Yankee Stadium's not easy though. You're a right-hander especially, and you have to face left-hander shooting at that 290-ish foot wall in right field. Not easy.
He's given up 7 homers in his 48 2/3 innings. Now here's Mark Krause. Krause has grounded out twice and walked. We let you get to your comment you were going to make when we were so rudely interrupted by out 3 in the top of the inning because you saw Mariano Rivera standing in the dugout and not in the bullpen. Yes.
Yeah, hanging out with Derek Jeter in the dugout, and so I thought, well, I don't anticipate he's going to be warming up here for the 9th inning.
Pretty good assumption.
It's just me looking at the game.
1 ball, 1 strike to Krause. So he doesn't look like a guy who is.
Well, maybe he could grab that softball behind him and get things loosened up in the dugout.
Maybe. But when has he ever said he didn't want the ball, though? It has to be a manager's decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if Joe Girardi said, hey, Mariano, you want to pitch tonight? Early on, before the ball game. Or, you know, it could have gone the other way. Mariano, I'm not even going to entertain the possibility. You just relax and enjoy these last few days or tonight.
(3-1) to Krause now. He led off the 2nd inning with a walk.
If you're Girardi and Rivera says to you, no, Skip, I really want to pitch in this series, I think you have to acquiesce, allow the legend to do what he wants.
Well, and Joe pretty much said that. Krause takes another leadoff walk. That's the 5th walk for Yankee pitching. Chamberlain went 1/3 of an inning. He allowed 2 hits, no runs with 1 walk. No strikeouts. We get a pinch runner. Jake Elmore at first. Pinch running for Krause. And Chris Carter's the batter.
Well, if you're going to insert Elmore at this quick stage now, as you start the 8th inning, might the running game factor in here?
It might. Carter 0 for 2 with a walk, scored a run. Elmore has 1 stolen base. He's been caught 5 times. Seems risky.
Yeah, it does. I think you also have to see what this looks like from the stretch, what the stopwatch says. I don't think that throw over is going to tell you much of anything at all. I think when the pitch finally comes to the plate is where you make your determinations.
Claiborne is a native Texan, born in Dallas, lives in Carrollton. 17th round pick in 2010 by the Yankees. 6'2", 225, 25 years old. Carter batter looks at it. It's strike one to Chris. This is Claiborne's first major league time here in 2013. He came up in May when Java Chamberlain went on the disabled list. He started his career much the same way Chamberlain started his in 2007. In his first 13 major league outings, he didn't walk a batter for 18 1/3 innings. Matt Daly's warming up now for the Yankees. That was the first time since 1916 that a Yankees pitcher did not walk a batter in his first 13 outings. Sidewinder Daly gets loose. Claiborne was throwing 3-2 changeups and 3-2 sliders when he came up. Popped up. David Adams. One out.
That was the slider. Looked like a pretty good one, but just 83 miles an hour, so it's not one of those upper 80s type sliders that leaves a hitter bewildered.
Crowe is 0 for 3. A Ho's on deck. And Elmore's attracting some attention there. Bunted and foul.
That one night when Jake Elmore did some catching for the team, improved his value to this club enormously. And if I'm looking ahead in the crystal ball toward next year, I'd say he has great value as that third catcher, infielder, play the outfield, swings the bat pretty well, can pinch run guy.
Oh, 2.
Minus the night when he caught. He's another one of those guys that can play the infield. You throw him an outfielder's glove and he'll get the job done. But you take that night of catching into consideration, and that was big.
Claiborne really working on Elmore. Rangers lead the Angels 4-3. They're in the bottom of the 7th in Arlington. Rangers are really up against it. 2 teams ahead of them for the 2 wild card spots. They came into tonight only a game behind Cleveland. Cleveland's leading 9-6 going to the 8th in Minnesota. Apparently Martin Perez will pitch if there is a 1-game playoff for the Rangers on Monday. Josh Fields warming up for Houston. Yankees got their 3 runs in the 4th. The Astros got their 2 in the 7th. They left the bases loaded. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the closer for the Indians, because Chris Perez really got hit hard last night. They had to get him out of the game, bring in Joe Smith. That's a strikeout for out number 2.
Following the game, Perez apologized to Terry Francona for what took place. And what do you do if you're the manager? You got your closer. You're likely to go ahead and use him in the postseason. But yeah, apparently Perez felt quite embarrassed about the whole thing.
That's a dilemma.
Yeah.
A.T. Howe has 2 singles. Second inning single went to right field. 7th inning single was a ground ball to the left of the shortstop and on through. Carlos Corcoran's spot, 2 up next. And there's strike 1 to Howe. Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers are shutting out the Rockies 4-0 in Los Angeles. They're in the top of the 3rd. Oakland leads at Seattle 3-1. They're in the top of the 3rd. We see the story about Brian Wilson, the former Giant, now with the Dodgers, going over to Giants president Larry Baer after the game. Larry Baer sitting in the stands last night to complain. He told Larry Baer he didn't want him to use his image anymore on the Giants scoreboard.
I saw the story, and I also saw the other side to it where the Giants claim that they've offered the ring to him on a couple of occasions, and for whatever reason it hasn't taken place.
Runner going. Murphy's throw bounces, and there's the tag, and they get him. So Elmore's gunned down from 2-4 to end the 8th inning, and it's no runs, no hits. We move to the 9th, 3-2 Yankees. Batters in a row since Zide and Chapman came in.
Zide continues to show a lot, and he's made some great strides in terms of what he does on the hill and how it's played out. Kevin Chapman, we talked about, as a left-hander, might he be a guy that has an inside lock on a spot toward next year? I'd say he's gone a long ways in that regard, but Zide, Chapman, Josh Fields, who we're going to see now, some of the names that have taken the largest steps in the pen.
Josh Fields 1-3 with a 5.40 ERA, 5 saves in 6 opportunities.
And you see he dominates right-hand hitters to the tune of 194. Overall, it's very good, 217. He's tough, there's no doubt about it. 18 walks in 35 innings. You continue to come back to the walks when you're looking at a number of these guys with the Astros.
Soriano leads it off in the 9th inning. He has a walk and a double. Each club with 5 hits. The Astros have 1 error. Yankees have left 3. The Astros have stranded 7. Strike 1 is Soriano. Fouls it straight back.
I can't imagine the Yankees had any concept that they were going to get a guy that would hit 17 home runs in less than 60 games for them. But well, that's exactly what Soriano's been.
It's really helped to carry them. They weren't getting much thump at all from right-handed power hitters. There's a shot foul. No balls, 2 strikes. Fields worked a scoreless inning on Monday at Texas. Red Sox pounded the Orioles 12-3 at Baltimore. Clay Buchholz won it. He's 12-1. Big Papi hit his 30th homer. Adam Jones number 33. Chris Davis 53 for Baltimore. Swing and a miss. Soriano strikes out. The 9th strikeout for Astros pitching tonight. And Mark Reynolds will follow. Reynolds delivered a run-producing single in that 3-run Yankee 4th. His hit was to left field. He's 1 for 3.
You know, Brownie, there's a chance this year that Miguel Cabrera could only pick up one of the 3 legs of the Triple Crown.
Yeah, Davis is neck and neck with him in runs batted in, right?
Actually ahead at the moment.
Okay.
138 to 137. Davis is 9 ahead in the home runs, and it's not likely Miguel's going to hit 9 in 2 nights.
Well, not likely.
Could happen. Could happen with that guy.
It's always possible with him. You're right. Not likely. 1-2. David Robertson is warming up for the Yankees. So there's your answer as to who their closer is for the night.
And who their closer may be starting next year.
Robertson has 2 saves. Outstanding stuff. Swing and a miss. That swing is about 2 seconds too late. 1-2. Wow. He was really slow getting around on that one.
Once he gets it going, he will generate some bat speed. This guy can hit some mammoth shots.
I would suggest he start considerably sooner than he did on that last one if he intends to get it going.
If you got a dial, turn it up.
And he hit that one squarely into center field. Good hitting with 2 strikes in the count as Reynolds makes it a 2-for-4 night.
Pretty tough pitch, too. Yeah. Staying on it, putting the barrel on it, and shooting it up the middle. He's not going to be accused of being a threat for the batting title, but you need somebody to provide the home run swing. Here's your man.
He has some thunder. You're right. David Adams next. He's had the biggest hit in this game. 2-run double into the right field corner in the 4th. He's 1 for 3. Blue Jays snapped the Rays' 7-game winning streak, 6-3 tonight. Strike. Joe Madden did a classy thing last night with Mariano Rivera and Andy Pettit, and he kept his players in front of the dugout so that they could have their moment before the Rays took the field. And we didn't realize this watching last night, Ash, just watching highlights, but we were told that when Rivera came into the game, he tipped his cap to the Rays, and they were standing over in front of their dugout. They just wanted him to have his moment and come out, and that's exactly the way it unfolded. And then after he came out of the game, he again tipped his cap to the Rays.
Well, he's a classy guy, and he seems to get it. He gets all of it. Does the right things, doesn't do the wrong things has been one of the big things about Mariano Rivera. He has not shown people up through the years, and boy, he's had his opportunities.
There is a great story about him in last week's Sports Illustrated, written by Tom Verducci. Just a terrific story. And one of the things Rivera has done is asked to meet with fairly anonymous stadium worker type people as he's made his last trip around the majors this year. And he asked for people who he hadn't met. You know, some of the clubhouse workers maybe had never introduced themselves to him. So he's had a chance to meet with some of them. He's met with some of the families who had suffered misfortune this year to try to cheer them up. One family lost a child in a terrible accident involving something in an airport that fell on them.
Yes.
And lost a child, and then another one was in a wheelchair, and he met with that family. And he promised the baseball. One of the kids in the family asked if when he saved the game that night against the Kansas City Royals, the kid could have the baseball. The kid's name was Sam. He said, yes, you can. After the game, he immediately remembered it, and he got the ball authenticated and made sure the family got that baseball. And then he forgot to autograph it, so he had them send it back to him so he could autograph it. Wow. Adam strikes out.
Now I wonder if he's taking care of all of these things himself, or if he's got somebody helping him out. This would not be easy to be pitching and going through the whole thing and dealing with all of that. Yeah, that's a lot on your mind.
It's an uncommon man, a rare man, but he remembered the kid's name was Sam. Immediately after the game, he thought of that kid and made sure they got the baseball to him, and he met with him.
Wow. That's great stuff.
Now Almonte batting. He's 0 for 3. Strike Victor Almonte.
97. Well, Josh Fields has steadily hit 94, 95 as long as he's been with the club, but 97, that kind of vaults you into a different category.
It may vault you into consideration as next year's closer.
Could do that. If you can find a way to become that guy on a consistent basis for an inning.
Wow. In the air to center field. Trevor Crowe with the grab to end the top of the 9th inning. No runs, a hit. And in the bottom of the 9th, it's Hose, Corcoran, and Wallace due up. Special night on Saturday for a Yankee and Astro legend. Astros pregame live sets the table tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet.
Now let's take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup. Brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. And we know one of those guys, Andy Pettit. We know them both. Pettit and Clemens go at it tomorrow night. Andy Pettit, you see the 10 and 11 really doesn't tell the story. 388 tells an awfully impressive story at this stage of his career. Still one of the game's outstanding left-handers. He goes against Paul Clemens, who's 4-6, 5.69 the ERA. And Paul Clemens, pretty impressive his last time out.
Well, why not? Those names, Pettit and Clemens, will forever be linked in Astros history.
Boy, no question about it. And Houstonians.
Here's David Robertson. He's been the setup man for Mariano Rivera. He's 5-1 with a 2.10 ERA. He was booed when he came out of the Yankee bullpen a moment ago.
He is momentarily the most hated man in all of Major League Baseball.
Because the fans wanted to see Mariano.
Merely jesting here, but yeah, that's what he's going to deal with for a few days if he does come in this scenario.
He pitched 2 nights ago against Tampa Bay in the Wednesday loss. So this will be his 69th appearance for David Robertson, 28 years old, from Birmingham, Alabama, and the University of Alabama. L.J. Hose leads it off. He is 2 for 3. Follows Corcoran on deck. Bouncer out to second. Adams takes care of out, number 1. Claiborne in 1 inning allowed no hits, no runs. He had a walk and a strikeout.
Stay tuned for Postgame Live, presented by M.D. Anderson. David Robertson did a very smart thing when he joined the Yankees. He tried to figure out, and by talking with Mariano Rivera, how to throw that little cutter. And if you watch the fastball of David Robertson, it is eerily similar to what Rivera does. Little cut job.
Corcoran is 0 for 3, 3 fly ball outs. Red Wallace on deck. And strike 1 at 93, clipped across the outside corner. And the Astros trail after 8 innings. As you know, it's been a rough ride for them this year. Down by 1 now. The 1 hopper short. Ryan right there at low bridge Robertson. It's out number 2. As we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And Brett Wallace came off the bench. 2-run pinch double in the 7th inning. His first pinch hit of the year. That made it 3-2, and it's still 3-2. As he comes up again. The Astros trail after 8 innings. They're 3-92.
You know what? That's really fun, becoming that guy who comes through as a pinch hitter and drives in big runs for a club. Challenging, but when you come through, it's great stuff.
Denny Walling was one of the best you probably saw at that, right?
Was he ever? Denny Walling was a good pure hitter. I want to go beyond good. And he could take it into those pinch hit at bats.
It's 1-1. You know what he said when we talked to him, it was maybe a year and a half ago. He said, I was of the opinion, pinch hitting, that I would get more than 1 pitch to hit. Now, that's kind of rare, but that's the way he played it.
Well, I think what that translated to was he was willing to be patient. He would try to pick out one area. I talked a lot with Denny, and he was a very smart guy about hitting. At least that's the way I viewed it. I didn't have the abilities to back up what Denny would talk about.
Wallace down to 1-2 count. Astros trying to avoid a club record 13th consecutive loss. Joe Girardi trying to snap his club's 4-game losing streak. And on a breaking ball, it's a strikeout and a throw out to end it. The Yankees win it. Their record in one-run games 29-16. And the Astros go to 18-35 in one-run games. Final score: New York 3, Houston 2.